Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Grappler Union podcast. Javier Palomo alongside Anthony Zito. Our guest today is Tony Kalina. Tony is a brown belt for Team Redzovic. Enjoy.
It ain't the 6 minutes. It's what happens in that 6 minutes.
You taught me using any technique that works. Never to limit myself to one style. Keep an open mind.
We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
In order to become more peaceful, in order for you to become better and strategize your life.
All right, now we're on. Okay.
We're on, but we're not live.
We're on, but we're not live. Exactly.
Never live.
Never live. Never.
Rogan still says live, and
Now
that's
he's not live anymore.
Right, he's very much not live.
I know.
For various reasons.
I wonder why he did that.
I believe because, yeah.
Is that why?
I don't know.
Because he wants to and he can do what he wants.
He truly can do whatever the fuck he wants.
He can.
Right.
Although he's had some good recent ones, but I was listening to one recently, Rogan, and I'm just like,
What even is going on?
The way he talks about comedy, it's like he's curing cancer. It's utterly ridiculous.
It's passion, man.
I get it, man. I
Comedy
get
and
it.
jiu-jitsu martial arts.
I get it, man. It's just like, I'm like, dude, I love a good joke. I do. But, I mean, he goes on and on and on. I'm like, okay, bro, enough. All right, get the scientist back on.
I mean, everyone listens for different reasons, though.
I know. But the thing, I'm like a religious listener to him. So
no matter what, you're going to listen to every episode.
And so, because I'm also super anal, so I got to like listen to them all. And
you're
I'm
the
like,
perfect fan for our show. Come on,
exactly,
we need more of those.
But to your anal point about that, the fact that about his intro,
Yeah.
I'm the kind of, because I noticed that. Have you noticed if you go to the podcast, like when you on your app, your iPhone, your
Yeah.
mobile device, whatever, versus watching it on YouTube? YouTube is the new version, 3, 2, 1,
Right.
live.
Yeah.
But then the other one always has the
Joe
intro.
Rogan.
It's the Joe
Yeah.
Rogan show with the Nick Diaz shout out that we all love.
Yeah,
Right.
I
So
know.
I don't know why that hasn't carried over. And
yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think that's just the way that like they've got it set up. Probably on the RSS feed or whatever is set up. That
I don't
way.
know. I don't know
Once
how
again,
his
this
back
is Joe
end
Rogan.
works.
He should be able to make that happen.
Perhaps Joe Rogan wants that to happen. Perhaps
Maybe he
he's like,
does.
we're going to give them a different experience depending on where they tune in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I enjoy his episodes, especially with all the scientists but the comedian ones get a little.
I mean, we can generally break down Rogan episodes into like probably 4 major categories. So we've got like comedians and Joe's friends. Oftentimes those are ridiculous, and depending on the friend, I may or may not tune in.
Okay.
Like
Yeah,
he's
same
absolutely
here.
got some where I'm like, no way am I listening to this guy.
Right.
Why did he bring him on again? Gah! Okay. And then we got like scientists and other experts, because it's not always guys that are actually scientists,
yeah.
but like they're experts in their field. And then we got like
Grapplers.
yeah, well, I was
boxers.
gonna say like the what's kind of transitioned into like, because he does the MMA show, and then the fight companions are sort of, they're all on the same channel, but there's sort of a separate thing. And then we got random crazies.
yeah. That's a great way to put it. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's another category, but
probably- I mean,
you
if-
kind of summed it up pretty nicely.
Yeah,
right?
we can probably break it down in like micro categories.
Yeah, but-
yeah,
No,
because I
they're-
don't want the random crazies to be included in the outside experts field.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah. No, there's the random crazies.
Right. And some of those are super entertaining. But
Yes.
it's also at the same time, I'm like, oh, Rogan's going full in on this one. Like, he definitely believes this person. And then sometimes he'll have somebody in and I'm like, oh, he doesn't believe them. He's calling them their bullshit left and right.
Yeah.
This is amazing. Let's just sit back and watch this dumpster fire.
Sometimes when they start talking about like transgender, and so I'm just like, oh, I can't.
He's going to go on this rant again.
I can't do it
Yeah.
anymore. I
Yeah.
can't.
He's going to bring a Fallon Fox.
Yeah.
Just can't do it.
No, there's some things that have been like beaten to death, but
Yes.
when you have thousands upon thousands,
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so much you could say after a while, so you need
I guess,
to
yeah.
get fresh people on to stimulate new ideas. Hopefully,
Yeah.
We're not even at 200, and I still worry about myself repeating stuff. So, like, I'll sometimes preface what I'm about to say with, like, I think I brought this up before, sorry,
Right.
but... So,
yeah,
like,
I worried about that initially, after doing all these years, but now it's just like, whatever.
Right.
Whatever is in my mind, I'm just going to say it. And if I repeat myself, fucking well.
Right.
You know,
and
that's the way it is.
I actually want that fan to get up in my face and be like, you said that exact same thing 13 episodes ago. Glad you're still listening.
Exactly.
You've been listening very diligently, and thank you very much.
That's true. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. But I still love doing the podcast. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no.
You know. I know we skip a week here and there.
Right,
but,
right.
You know,
due to time and
stuff like
and
that.
availability, I tried to. No offense to our existing podcasts today, because you did a doubleheader today.
I did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but I tried to get one of the great superstars of judo who was in town, Jimmy Pedro, Olympic
way.
coach. Yeah, that just didn't work out. Maybe next time.
No offense taken on that one.
I would hope so. I'd be like, Jimmy, you want my chair? It's cool. just sit here, crack a beer, tell all the stories.
I would happily just be a fly on the wall. You don't even need to say I'm here.
Yeah, he's in town. He's teaching a Tokan.
Oh, is he?
Yesterday, yeah.
Wow.
I
Do
think
you know? I mean, I know we're live, but how much longer is he gonna be around in town?
I'm pretty sure he's leaving tonight or tomorrow.
Oh, okay, darn it. Okay,
Yeah, pretty sure tonight.
yeah. So
what about Hickson? When's he coming in?
I mean, Hickson hasn't answered my calls.
He hasn't?
No, because I haven't called him.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't have access to the bat phone, you know?
yeah,
Is he coming in to do an LCCT
I
seminar?
mean, when he comes in, he comes in. I have not been given the heads up on it yet.
Oh, okay.
I will absolutely keep you informed and reserve your spot so you can have that experience.
Oh, I want that spot here, though.
All right. Well,
Reserve that spot.
you want to set up that private lesson?
There's no problem with that.
Okay. You want to fly him in for it? Yeah.
I don't know if I
Okay.
want to fly him
we're
in
just
for
we're
it.
setting the boundaries.
He's already going to be in Chicago.
So
you want him to
Hickson,
be in
when
Chicago.
in Chicago.
When in Chicago.
Private lesson. No problem. We'll make it happen.
And then podcast.
Right.
We can podcast on the mat while he's
Oh, you're
showing
going to make
me.
that exception for
Sure,
Hickson?
why
Okay.
not?
I see how it is.
Whatever.
that seems like such an easy thing to tackle.
I think so.
No problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's in high demand or anything.
I don't
No,
think
not
so,
at all.
right?
No.
Not nowadays.
Not anymore.
Or
no.
Gracie like him? No. Isn't he just like the older brother?
Just hoist his older brother, right?
Just hoist his older brother. He's not even on the poster. Oh man. Yeah, I was actually watching a Hunter Gracie. I enjoy Hunter Gracie and his enthusiasm. I don't know.
His enthusiasm and marketing strategy.
It's brilliant. I enjoy him. I've never met him personally, and
We have quite a few friends that are students and friends of his. Like,
Yeah.
he seems a cool dude.
he seems great. But I was watching a video and I was actually like, it was so nice. If it was marketing, whatever. He was doing this like anti-bullying video where
Right.
some kid Austin got bullied in school.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is new or no. I didn't see the year.
No, this has gone viral. in a
This
big
went
way.
viral on the internet in
it
the
did.
portions of the world that you don't hang out. So
I see. So it showed up in my feed literally while I was
You
waiting.
try to stay off social media
Yeah, I
as much
did,
as possible. That is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And
unless you're trying to run a business, in which case it's not.
And that's the thing is, I'm trying to limit my social media use, but you miss out on open mat here. This is happening here. This person's in town doing a seminar, so you have to. Yeah, it's a necessary evil sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. Continue.
No. So he showed up on my YouTube suggestions, this video. So I clicked on it and I was watching it. I was just really impressed by. Now, I know he went there for a week, and I know by just teaching, you're not going to learn a whole lot in a few hours of jiu-jitsu, But it was very cool that he did that. It's very cool that they filmed it. It's very cool that he brought the awareness to it. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed it. I think, yes, it was probably a lot more marketing for Gracie University. However, I thought it seemed pretty genuine.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, if you weren't interested in the marketing aspect, you wouldn't publicly announce it on Twitter and Instagram and all the social medias. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't film it. You wouldn't put it up afterwards and show the whole world what you were doing. You would just be like, hey, man, I want to bring your son out.
Right.
We'll keep it on the down low because he doesn't need any more attention drawn to him, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
But with that caveat in mind, the fact that they did it, and hopefully this becomes a beneficial path for the kid, is fantastic. Like, whether you perceive that there's some sort of ulterior motive or not, it's still good.
Yeah, I mean, I
agree.
I would agree with that. I mean, because also two people are saying like there's an immediate backlash, right, to the video by people saying it was fake at first, and then people came back out in response to that saying
people
no.
said it was fake.
There was one person. I don't know. My wife would know better than I. But
Bring her on.
We gotta get shout out Megan Kalina. Love you. But no, she. I guess there was one individual that said it was fake, and that just like got everyone saying, "Oh, it's fake. Don't pay attention to that." Okay. But and like someone was saying, like that the 9-year-old kid was actually an 18-year-old man or something like that. And
Okay, well, this is getting real weird, real fast.
Isn't that the different? That's a different one.
But that's the comment section of social media. You
no,
know what I mean?
I think. Are you talking about the little kid
from Australia?
I was talking about this kid from Austin.
Well,
there's two different things going on.
That just shows you how bad, though. I think. I mean, bullying has always been there and always will be there. But with social media added in, it's created a whole nother level that I'm happy I'm not a kid at this age with social media.
Oh, it's brutal.
So
it's got to be brutal.
But so the point of that I was trying to the roundabout way I'm getting it is that let's say it was a fake the kid from Australia, right? Though at least the good that has come from it, if it was and proven not to be fake, but if it was, the good is coming of it's like it was raising so much awareness and people like Henner, people like Tom DeBlas, bigwigs in the jiu-jitsu community wanting to do something and giving out, anti-bullying classes for free here in Chicago. I'm sure other jiu-jitsu gyms have jumped on board as well. I know it hit home for a lot of people at Team Redzovic, so they want to do something as well and they put something out. So I just
wait. They have something coming up, or they've already done something. I mean, and I totally missed it.
They put out a video saying that just basically how it touched them as well, and how this isn't right, and nothing is set in stone. So I don't want to put words in people's mouths, and I don't want to create classes that don't exist. But I know that
there's talk of
filling a need.
Right.
And basically, and it's something that is very, deep and something passionate that I care about. So, I was just saying, I let people know as well. It's like, hey, if I just kind of shared some of the info that people were out there regarding this kid from Australia, and just saying, this is shouldn't be tolerated. This is not right. And, if this is happening to your kid, reach out to me. And if I can't help you personally, I'm going to try to get you in touch with the people who can, because, just in general, I mean, when kids will be bullied, unfortunately, but, kids coming home, taken to the extreme where they want to kill themselves because of how bad the bullying gets. I mean, we're talking a whole nother level here. And then they actually do it. It's not just talk sometimes. So,
and that's the problem. That's the problem, I think, when being bullied, I was bullied as a kid and it was brutal. But what I didn't have to endure was the aftermath of the social media backlash of like someone filmed it or someone took a picture of it. It was as strange as it sounds. It was more of like an intimate moment between me and the two kids that were bullying me, where they would come up to me, punch me repeatedly in the chest until I had bruises all over my chest, and I'm just standing there like a fucking I don't know what to do. Right. I'm just going to get beat up. And then that was it. And next day, no one knew besides me and those two guys who did it that I was bullied or that they were picking on me. And I just went about my day and and tried to get. Luckily, I found martial arts that summer, and it helped me out. But these kids nowadays who have to deal with that social media aspect, of course, man. What are you going to do?
Well, there's no respite,
right?
To your point. I was bullied as well throughout certain points of my younger life, and it was just I think that when you don't have social media, you go home. Okay, I mean, as long as you have, hopefully you have a
good home to go to,
a stable home life, and the bullying isn't continuing. Yeah. I was fortunate enough to have a break from that. You know what I mean? Okay, so now I'm at home around loving parents, loving brother, grandparents, things of that nature. So it's like, as opposed to like now, if I was a kid or something like that, where, people with not in double digits are already having iPhones. So now they're getting lit up by what? Just more constant berating.
Yeah.
See, my kids are relatively sheltered from this because I didn't let them have phones at a young age. They don't have standard social media accounts. So my son has access to YouTube through our accounts. My son has access to Facebook through an account that we've set up and monitor for him because he's not actually 13 yet.
Okay.
So he's not supposed to actually have a Facebook. Now, once he turns 13, we're going to give that over to him and he's in control of it.
Right.
So he's had some experience with it and whatnot. We're not going to monitor it anymore. Like you're on your own. You're free now.
He's almost 13 without a phone.
Yeah, he doesn't have a phone.
Props to you.
Yeah, no. What the fuck does he need a phone for?
I agree. I agree.
Now, before everyone's like, oh, that's savage. He has a tablet. Okay, so he has access to most of the main features he would want on a phone anyhow.
Right.
But he doesn't have like Instagram. I don't even know what he'd do on Instagram. He's so into like video games and whatnot. You know, my Instagram's full up with like jujitsu and women.
Yeah.
Occasionally guns and knives, but you know the things I love. But yeah, like his main experience with social media has predominantly been with friends and family through Facebook and Facebook Messenger and things like that, and YouTube comments off.
Right.
So like he's not like posting on random Twitter debates. He's not running his own Instagram account or anything like that,
Right.
and he's free to eventually. If when he turns 13, we get him a phone and he installs those things, that's on him.
You guys aren't filming him like doing reviews of toys and trying to make a ton of money off him.
I ain't gonna lie, he's very into that. Like he loves watching Twitch streams. And,
so that's what it's called. I don't know.
Twitch streaming is like guys. Usually it's gaming.
Okay.
They're playing games and you follow them along and whatnot. And there's dark sides to that too. There's guys that do.
What's the dark side of Twitch?
Oh, we don't need to get into this.
No, that's because I don't know.
No, just like you got cam girls, showing off their goods for.
Okay.
Is that real? Really?
Yeah,
On
yeah,
Twitch?
not full nude or anything as far as I know.
Oh, so they're just like in,
yeah,
like,
but
an outfit.
But if you subscribe to my Patreon, that's where the good stuff is.
So that's I did notice that they do.
Now he's got to figure
not
it
on
out.
Twitch, but like on
Twitch, YouTube, a lot of the different.
Yeah, there's like subscribe to my Patreon, and then I'm like
to get exclusive content. And if you're a hot girl, a lot of times that exclusive content is less and less clothing.
That's
But just so I understand, Twitch is primarily for gaming.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it was originally designed for to stream gaming, but it is used for other purposes now. It's one of the big like multimedia platforms at this point.
Yeah, I thought Twitch was clever. I think it is. It's brilliant. Basically, I don't get it because I don't want to sit there and watch people game. It's not my thing.
I don't get it either. Because
you're a gamer.
Because I'm a gamer, and if I have the time to sit and watch a video of somebody playing a game, I could just be playing a game.
Yeah,
yeah.
But,
I couldn't.
But as all my buddies who are like football guys point out, they're like, "Man, I can't always play football, but I love watching football." I'm like, "Okay, I kind of get that."
I don't get that.
Well, no, because
explain that one.
Because let's ignore the physical element of it just for a minute.
How could you do that?
Because it's a sport. It's a sport.
But how could you ignore the physical element of
football? You can shut up and let me explain my point.
Explain it. Because I don't know. If you're standing in front of a computer, you could literally be playing computer. You can never, if it's snowing outside or whatever.
This is what I deal with on a daily basis.
I know. Go ahead, explain, please.
There's nothing more painful than watching other people play video games. That's my 2 cents on that.
Because you're always like, give me the remote.
Exactly.
Give me the remote. Can I play? It's my turn yet?
Yeah. The only time that I think that's fun was, college when you're sitting around and you're just passing winter stays and you pass the remote around. But then now you have a group of guys and you're BSing. It's different as opposed to like, no, when you're like 13 and just sit in someone's basement and you're just waiting for your next time up.
All right. So let me interject.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. And like I said, when I say removing the physical element, it'll make sense in a minute.
Okay.
What you guys are talking about, even though you probably were like, "Oh, I was so good at fucking Street Fighter 2 back in the day," or some bullshit like that.
Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Both you fucks. Okay. What you guys are talking about is gaming on an extremely low level, casual, like flag football in the park level.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. And what we are talking about is elite level gaming, professionals, guys that I would literally pay money to watch or compete against. Okay. So now, not everyone's like that on Twitch. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's plenty of Demetrius Johnson, MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Has an awesome Twitch stream, okay? And guys are more than willing to show up to watch him play games and fucking ask him questions and interact with his fans and whatnot. And, there's a reason he was sponsored by Xbox, okay?
Demetrius Johnson was sponsored by Xbox?
Hey, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah.
damn. Like,
Yeah. So there's like a whole bunch of MMA fighters that do Twitch streams just as a method of interacting with the fans, get a chance to play some games, do some things, alternative revenue stream that Reebok hasn't cut them out of, whatever it may be.
If training was my full-time job, then I'd be back on the video game train.
There you go. There you go.
Relieve stress and think about something else other than training.
But yeah, and there, like, this is why like gaming esports, as they call it, this is why gaming is now a whole thing. It's way more massive than it ever was when we were kids. Like whenever I talk about it with like older guys, guys that are like 30 plus or whatnot, they kind of give me that answer. But when I talk to like the younger generation, they're like, no, man, I want to watch him do it because he's so much better than me. He's got these awesome techniques. He can run through a game that would take me 12 hours in an hour and a half. Things like that.
Well, then that's a person talking like a jiu-jitsu person.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But at the same time, I have a tough time though when they start if they're going to start incorporating them as athletes and having them on like their championships on ESPN. It's I don't know. I mean, just because you got fast fingers doesn't. I don't know. Does that mean you're an athlete? I don't know.
See, so we've actually gone over this, and I don't think my position has changed at all. I don't generally mind it, but there's a lot of things that are considered sports right now that I'm like, that's barely a sport anyhow.
Touche.
Okay. So like, first of all,
you have to have hand-eye coordination.
Well, right. But you have to have some competitive aspect. So even though I'm like a former gymnast,
of course,
okay, like I don't think gymnastics is I don't think it's like a real sport in terms of competitive sense because it's scored off of a judging criteria that is it's the opinion of somebody else how well you did. Okay, like was that a 7-9 or was it an 8-2? Okay,
not direct mano a mano or female versus female competition, but I mean gymnastics techniques are some of the most difficult in all of athletics.
But that's where we're disagreeing though. Okay. I'm not saying it's not athletic. It is an incredible athletic endeavor.
Gotcha.
Okay, it is not a sport if we include the element of direct head-to-head competition, because your opponent cannot directly influence the outcome of the result or the result in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so I'm competing my score against somebody.
So
but
you're
I'm not
just
actually
in gymnastics.
No, I'm using that as an example.
But you can use that same thing by like figure skating.
Right. Well,
you are. If ever there was, you're at the mercy of judges.
Right, exactly.
So I could see your point. Like,
there's no scoring system outside of the perceived aesthetic quality of what you did, and the judge has to go, well, I think that was this because this reason. Right. Okay, so yeah, you're competing against somebody, but they have no ability to influence, and they're not competing direct head to head. Like even a race. Okay, a race maybe. Obviously, there's a lot more to racing, and I'm not a good proponent of this discussion. But at minimum, you're competing against a clock. Okay, you have to do X in Y amount of time,
or another person,
or less,
or a car,
or you're literally going head to head, and there can be some aspects of them influence the result. They cut you off, they whatever it may be. So that's different. Again, that's definitely to me a sport. Okay, now with that in mind. Are sports only competitive endeavors that are where the other person can influence the outcome in some way, or you're racing against a certain metric or something like that? Are sports only those things that are strictly physical? Okay. Now, if it is, then you might argue that chess is way less of a sport and strictly a game, but still a game. Okay. Because there's not a heavy athletic component, right? Is that our main qualifier? Okay, because then sure, we have a much lesser athletic requirement for a game of chess than for the sport of chess. But one could argue that NASCAR racing, while physically demanding, going in that circle over and over again, it is an endurance thing, isn't anywhere near as much of an athletic endeavor as, say, soccer. So where do these things tie in?
So now, and now, I definitely see your point, because then you can't compare like you can't compare a top flight jiu-jitsu athlete or even just a solid jiu-jitsu athlete, frankly, to a golfer. Yeah, sure. A golfer is going to make probably more money.
Tiger Woods laughing at us right now.
Yeah, exactly. But I would like to see any golfer on the mat. Not to say they couldn't learn. Not to say they couldn't be great.
Right.
But just in general, it's a different type of athleticism, and I would say golf is almost like it's like a skill versus like a hard.
Right. In that discussion, one could make an argument that golf is really more of a game than a sport, but it's certainly more physical than other things.
I play golf. It's tough.
Oh no!
You're the golf proponent suddenly now.
No.
Yeah. Golf's a tricky one.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying but it almost like the level. It's tough for me to call it a sport when someone else is carrying your bag.
Yeah, right.
But I'm not. I am not dismissing. I'm not dismissing the skill of hitting it 200 yards straight and then having it hooked the way you want.
Yeah, right. It's absolutely a physical endeavor.
Right,
it requires lots and lots of practice.
Oh yeah,
it is taxing.
Thousands of repetitions.
But guys getting shoulder and elbow surgery over playing golf.
Right,
I mean, it's not like it's not taking its toll.
Right.
But yeah, so that's the thing. Like we don't actually have a universe. I mean, I'm sure we could look up the dictionary definition, and somebody would still probably disagree with it. Mind you.
Yeah.
We don't have like a universally accepted definition of like what separates like a game, a sport, all those things. So like on a certain level, like me as like a guy who's like nose to nose sharing like blood and sweat with another human being and being like, this is the greatest sport on earth. And you're gonna be like, yeah, I click WSAD and occasionally left mouse button. Those aren't the same thing. But man, that competition is devastatingly intense.
Do you think it comes down to whether or not it's a marketing thing more? Because if you're a sport, if you're like a professional sports athlete, you're gonna get paid and you're more marketable as opposed to being just some guy who plays games.
There
just sounds a little more prestigious. And I think
esports athlete does have a much better ring to it than professional gamer.
Exactly. And I think that's more of a ploy for the endorsers and the sponsors and all those people. They want to make the most money, and they're going to maximize their dollar by creating this whole illusion that these people, not saying that it is an illusion, but I think a lot more is marketing as opposed to like, let's.
But those guys are putting on. Those guys are putting on a show. It's a very demanding performance, regardless of how physically demanding it is. It's very mentally demanding. The stakes are high. They're filling stadiums. They're filling stadiums.
That is insane.
But now look at like wrestling. Is wrestling considered a sport?
Pro wrestling or amateur wrestling? What are we talking about?
I'm talking about like WWF.
There's no WWF anymore.
WWE.
No, that's sports entertainment.
It's entertainment.
Well, once again, what they're doing
is performance art.
As much as I would say that is not. I mean, it's a fixed fight, but there's definitely doing things that are damaging their bodies and bad flips.
This is a serious athletic endeavor.
For sure.
It is not a competitive sport.
No, it's not competitive. Right.
But
I would agree.
But it fits into that. It fits into some greater overarching theme. But I wouldn't really call WWE a sport.
But even
it's not a game, but it is a performance.
Right. Let's say you're not directly like compete. I guess you are. I'm not, because I thought about weightlifting. I mean, if
you're competing against numbers in that case.
But
really.
but you can be competing. Like, it's all matter. At the end of the day, I get the medal if you can't bench what I bench, and vice versa. So
and that's the thing. Like perhaps we need better definitions. And there's probably somebody right now listening to the podcast going, "This is actually known." Like, you guys are just fucking it up.
Yeah, you guys are wasting a lot of time talking about stuff that I already.
I'm talking about like in the common vernacular. Okay, not perhaps not the actual full dictionary definition,
right?
But in the common vernacular, like, we use sport for a lot of different things, and it means really wildly different stuff. Because, like I said, I'm not trying to like talk shit. As a former gymnast, I'm not trying to talk shit on gymnastics, but the scoring criteria is wildly different from something hardcore mechanical, where it's just pure beautiful numbers of
Now you
a
have me very,
race
very discouraged
or-
about the plight of gymnasts and figure skaters.
Oh, I'm sorry.
and the lack of objectivity in the scoring.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And potential subjectivity.
Right, and Zito over here is probably trying to write an app in his head, like how we can score perfect gymnastics form with like body cameras. And
Oh man. I mean, did you guys watch the UFC yesterday?
I did not.
Oh, my
I
God.
watched other than highlights on the internet.
Yeah.
I watched exactly 0 of all the amazing things that went on yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't see a Grapple Fest, although I saw.
And you know what? I
didn't watch the UFC.
I have to admit, I'm out of the loop on what happened yesterday. So
Did you watch the UFC since you
Well-
broached the subject?
Well, I did. I've watched it while I was waiting for you guys to come here.
Oh, okay.
I was just.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, so
while
this is
we
even
were
worse.
driving, you
This is
just
even worse for me
reviewed.
to ask who fought.
Well,
I know,
This is
right?
this podcast is coming out 2 weeks, but it was Formiga and Benavidez.
Right.
Oh, okay.
That-
Not Formiga. Why did I say Formiga?
I don't know, but now that
Yeah.
stuck in my head. Yeah.
It was Figueroa.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't for the flyweight because he missed
Because
weight.
he missed weight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And then he ended up knocking him out. which
Yeah,
is-
that was terrible.
Sad.
I heard about that, but
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, this is awful.
But the craziest fight was the
Benavidez
stoppage.
is so good.
The stoppage. The I guess his nickname is the Hulk. There was a stoppage where he was playing like a rope-a-dope.
Okay.
It was so
Rope a cage.
yeah,
Cage
right?
dope.
Cage dope, whatever. And I mean, he kind of fooled me because I'm like, well, is he out on his feet? But he's still swinging, so
Yeah.
he didn't look.
Figueiredo, by the way. I knew that was wrong.
Figueiredo?
Figueiredo.
So he was barely getting hit. Really, it looked weird, and then the ref stopped it. Like missed all the action, and I'm like, and then the guy he's like, I'm fine, and he was like totally fine. So then they played back.
Hold on. Just
Yeah.
make sure I heard you right.
Yeah.
He's up against the cage.
No, he wasn't against Cage. He was
Okay.
in the middle, still swinging and
But he's not getting hit at all, or like they're bouncing off the gloves.
bouncing off his gloves.
That's rough to see sometimes.
But he was just like,
Depends on
rolling.
angle.
He was kind of like just like kind of doing Anderson Silva style, but with
It's a
his
risky
hands
style,
up,
yeah.
with his hands up, and still protect him, and just like rolling and moving all weird, and just like doing his head and like. I don't know, man. And he stopped the fight. Like Frankie Edgar versus Gray Maynard, both fights. This guy would have stopped it immediately, but they let that fight go on. Obviously,
Well, okay. That was different times.
sure. But this was, man. You guys got to see it because it's like,
I'll check.
Not
Who
yet,
was,
not-
do you remember who the fighter was?
Now
Or
you're
you?
checking it out? for
yeah,
Sure.
it was that Russian cat he fought. I don't know. I can't pronounce.
He does
his
not
name.
know. That's the answer.
Yeah. So anyway, it was pretty crazy, and I feel bad for that guy who stopped the fight. That ref, he's gonna get some shit for that because he was watching it afterwards, and he's
like,
like,
"Oh, crap, I fucked up."
Can
I
we
mean-
start this over again?
Man, that's the
It was
hard
like 38
part.
seconds in the beginning of the first round.
This is why I never want to be a ref.
Oh,
like,
no, that's a
ever.
horrible job.
It's a
Horrible.
hard job. It's thankless. You're inevitably going to mess up.
Horrible.
Hopefully not in a big
We
way.
need
And
good
if-
ones though. We need good refs. We need
Judges.
better judges.
No, I think you just need an open scoring system. I think that would eliminate all everything.
Well, I think better judges and an open scoring system.
Well, if you have an open scoring system, at least you know, oh, fuck, I thought I won that round. They
Right.
don't have me win that round.
That's
I'm going to come out more.
That's definitely
I'm
going to
gonna come
change
out
the way
harder.
people react.
Well, just in
though.
general, I mean,
Like,
you do have it for every other sport. Why?
You do.
Why? And one of the, I mean, fighting, probably one of the dirtiest businesses of all time.
Yep.
As far, so
Right.
why are we still keeping the score a secret up
Secret.
until the last minute?
Yeah.
It doesn't really even
Doesn't make sense.
Makes
Like
sense
you're not
to me.
keeping anyone in suspense. There's not like, oh, who's a no. Just
I mean,
tell
you
us.
definitely are.
But what for? There's no
Exactly.
reason for it.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, yeah.
You are absolutely keeping people in suspense
You are.
for when it goes to a decision.
Because everyone's already,
Okay.
but everyone's already made their decision. Unless it's like
Right, but then they have the right
go
to be
that-
super offended
Right.
when it doesn't go their way.
Right, which everyone wants to be offended now.
Right. But like, so there you go. That's why we have it.
But it's usually like, oh man, it's usually like everyone's already made an idea unless they're like, wait, that's a close round. I kind of have it going this way. What's the next thing they say? I'm curious to see what the judges have to say about it.
Right.
Right. But so here's the thing, like, and I'm not saying that this is terrible because, like you said, we generally have that in most other rule sets, and not all. Fight to Win, for example, does not have an open scoring system. We don't know what the judges are thinking. We're hoping they're counting these things the exact same way the fighters are, but different people value different things.
Yeah, but I don't think they're not calculating anything on a scorecard.
End of the day, that doesn't actually matter. It doesn't matter whether you're counting it on your head or counting on a scorecard.
It's all submission. It's all submission or. Okay, who dominated the fight?
Right, which is largely subjective based on your personal criteria. Seth breaks down how he wants it done, but he doesn't have absolute control over the judges. You could be out of position and not see something that was like on the other side that all the other judges saw. You could be like, oh man, that was a sweet near guard pass he got. I really like that, and it's like, oh, but the other guy like had like 3 near submissions. Oh, I didn't think they were that close. Shit.
Or what is a near submission?
Right. Well,
you know what I mean?
There's that as well.
There's that. So when you have people playing to the rule, and once again, people play the rules.
Well, that's just it. And that's what I was actually getting to. Like if you have the score currently listed, that will potentially change the dimensions of the fight just by one guy being like, oh, there's the score. I'm up. I know I can coast, or I know I have to bring it hard.
Think that I think that makes for better fighting. Here's why. Because if I know I'm winning the fight and I'm going to try to coast, this guy's going to try knocking my head off. He's not going to allow me just to be like, oh, I'm going to be on the outside. He's not going to be able to run.
Yeah, but it depends. Well, once again, are we talking MMA or are we talking jiu-jitsu?
We're talking MMA. We're taking all those things because it works
UFC.
The same way regardless of sport.
You think? IBJJF has open scoring. You know who you're
right, and 100%. I have heard coaches after you score a 2-point takedown be like, hold,
right.
It's only 4 more minutes.
but there's
that is true.
I mean, not to say there's not stalling in fighting, but it's a little different when someone's game and they're trying to come at you with kicks and punches and
they're not. There's no way. There's not a lot of.
No, there absolutely is. Stop. Just stop right there.
Is there?
Well, it would have to. But once again, it comes back down to the ground.
Because it doesn't. It's not always the ground. Because I could put a dude on the cage and just hold him there.
Yeah, but the refs always break those people up.
Sure,
especially if you're
a really good striker and you can stick and move for
right. And I'm not saying that's the only problem. I'm just saying that is one of the things you're going to have to deal with. The fact that the fighter does not know 100% how the judge sees a given round, that he's trusting his coach to say what the judges are probably thinking.
Right.
And that coach may need to fucking lie to the fighter to get him to perform.
Right.
If you have open scoring, you take away all of that. Now, that could be good in some ways, and it could be disastrous in others.
Well, we know how it is now, and it's not going good.
Right, because people, I mean, if we're strictly talking about, well, wait a minute. Well, I think people are fighting their hearts out in a cage, and I'm not going to say people aren't grappling their hearts out on mats, but if you know that the sponsorships and everything are going to come if you win those medals, then you're going to stall. I mean,
sometimes it is more important to win than to win well. Okay.
But then it's all a matter of, this comes down to personal preference. But what can you look in the mirror and be happy about? You know what I mean? Because sometimes,
for sure. I mean, I go out there, I try to finish everyone.
Right.
Okay. I get very upset with myself when I win on an advantage, or God forbid, I lose on an advantage. And it's like, shit, I should have left it all on the line. I should have desperately dove for something when there's a minute left, whatever. You know, like I get very critical of myself because I really do want to finish guys. That's what my goal is, to finish or dominate. You know, it's got to be one of those two things. Okay. But this is fun for me.
Yeah.
It's not my career. I don't have to be like, man, if I get one more loss, the UFC is going to cut me.
Yeah.
Okay, so it absolutely changes the face of the game.
I mean, when it's your livelihood, I get it. No, I completely. But it's like, to your point about us weekend warriors. That's not what's putting the food on the table. I look back and I think, okay, when I won Chicago Open as a blue belt, that I look back at the time. I was happy because it got the monkey off my back of losing, right?
Right.
I finally broke that losing streak, and I broke it well. But then on the other hand, when you look back as a different practitioner now, I look back and wasn't as proud of that performance because while I got that monkey off my back, I was like, yeah, but I stalled out here.
I sucked on this one match. Whatever. Yeah.
But I mean, granted, that's
part of the process.
That's part of the process of development. But it's also kind of like one of those things where it left like a sour taste in my mouth because I was like, because I wasn't continuing to go for the kill to the end, you know?
Right.
And I think that, like, you know, sometimes everyone has a different philosophy on competing, but for me, it's, you know, I think it's not just about win or lose. You want to be able to hold your head up, right? And for me, that's just to go for broke until the whistle ends, which sometimes my coaches are always like, calm down, calm down. You settle that. You're, you know, what I mean, it's like you don't want to give up the Hail Mary, right? When you're when you have it locked in, and you, I mean, because to say, you know, you can't submit everyone. You know, there's tough guys out there.
But you know, I don't think you can compare the IBJJF Jiu-Jitsu to UFC. I don't think that's a fair comparison because
it's not an identical comparison.
The money is not. I mean, those guys are getting huge win bonuses. They're not going to be sitting looking at the clock and be like, okay, I'm just going to stall the.
Wait, stop. What are you talking about? They're not going to do that. We literally had a guy lose a fight the other day because he coasted through the last 2 rounds.
Who's that?
It was the fucking John Jones fight. He's I thought I was up.
Yeah, about
Reyes.
Yeah, Reyes.
Dominic Reyes.
Yeah,
he said that. He said he thought he was up. He coasted.
No, he didn't.
He wasn't trying to win the fight.
He didn't come out and say I coasted, but like he thought he was up. He slowed his volume down.
Right.
He was trying to be more controlled. He was looking to not.
I think that's an excuse. I think he was gassing.
But we have this.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, we have had athletes say it on the mic that's what they did.
And he did that without open scoring. Now, what if he had open scoring? What would he do?
He would definitely do it more.
He would do what more?
If he was up?
Coast?
Yeah.
What would the other guy do? Let him coast?
Hopefully not. You push the action. But
exactly. So he's not going to let him. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen.
I could see the similarities and differences, but for me, it's hard for me to, because I have to separate a fight and like a grappling match a little bit. I mean, because I know that we
this
like,
argument.
I know that we like to call the fight, but wrestlers are pretty damn aggressive. Jiu-jitsu guys don't like to be clubbed to the head. So we all know that they get to if you're doing nogi and you do a very standard wrestling style club, to maybe 50% of the people in the room are not going to like you very much.
Right.
They'll also probably sit guard immediately.
Exactly. But wrestlers don't call it a fight, and I mean, they're doing some pretty things. I mean, they're doing things that IBJJF would consider illegal.
I know, they're beautiful. I love it. By the way, we have to sync up.
What's beautiful?
Clubbing a dude on the head.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, well, it works.
A well-executed suplex that might be called a slam in the IBJJF.
Well, I mean, and don't get me started about the fact that, wait a minute. So you cannot, if someone comes in on a head outside single,
you can't guillotine them.
You can't just drop down and attack them in the guillotine. So basically, what you're telling me, and this is what gets me,
that's belt rank dependent, isn't it?
I don't think so.
I thought it is.
But regardless, okay, let's just say
you can't use.
Let's say it's white and blue.
You can't use the best attack under threat of breaking the opponent's neck.
Exactly. So the very first attack that a wrestler learns, you're basically saying, okay, you have to sprawl, which not every jiu-jitsu school, that's not what they teach on day one. Or you can't attack a guillotine.
Why are we going to that school? Wait a second.
But it's, you know what I mean?
I'm just
that's like the first thing they learn, and we're not teaching, or we're handicapping them by saying, like, oh, you can't do one of our best defenses.
Right. No.
By attacking the submission on them.
Right. I get that. That's definitely a safety concern because we've had enough dudes, and especially small children, get DDT'd and end up in hospital.
Fair enough.
So you just made a little head nod there.
No, I
guess I could see the part about the children aspect, but then
think of the children.
The children.
Kids.
But it's like at the same time though, I mean,
yes,
there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in wrestling, and I don't know if I think the injury rate. I haven't done studies. I think I want to say the injury rate is.
Just pull some stats out of the ass. That's okay.
It just doesn't matter. No one fact checks us here anyway.
Yeah. No, that's not true. That's not true. I have people contact me on the internet to tell me how wrong you are all the time. They're like, let Zito know he's wrong about this. Thanks, I will.
There's gonna be people on this probably like, why are you having Tony? I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Listen, man. If I wanted somebody to bring in like charts, graphs, and figures, we could do that.
Yeah.
But it would make for terrible radio.
Yes,
it would. Yes, it would.
But no. So yeah, I get that point. Like, there's a lot of weird rule things out there.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what you are allowed to do in this event is not necessarily a direct correlation of what you should do in a fight, in
Of course
an
not,
MMA.
right.
Rules shape the techniques that are used.
Yeah.
It gets back to your thing too. Is I would consider grappling a sport without question, but what do we say? You're playing to the rules of the game too.
Yeah, it's very much a game in a lot of ways.
So
And getting back to the whole I have no problem. I have no problem with just calling a jiu-jitsu match a match. Okay, and that's probably the wrestler.
that's pretty much
in me
how
more.
I've called it.
Yeah.
Everyone, I've never referred to any of my matches as a fight.
Right, and I've always
don't.
referred to judo as matches, sambo as matches. Like
Yeah.
I've never, but the culture of jiu-jitsu has very often called them jiu-jitsu fights.
Yeah.
And I think that really does stem back to back in the day when they were much more like fights.
Vale Tudo.
Yeah, Vale Tudo
Absolutely.
strikes a lot. Like we've all seen the old videos of guys in karate gis getting smacked up and whatnot. So like I can understand why that's still in the culture of calling it a
For
fight.
the marketing, a super fight
for the
sounds
market.
better than a
Yeah,
super
exactly.
match.
Exactly.
I mean, super match doesn't sound horrible.
Doesn't
though.
sound horrible.
Doesn't sound horrible.
But super fight.
Yeah,
That's what it's at.
You're right though. Like match to win sounds like a goddamn phone game, whereas fight to win definitely sounds like something I'm paying money for.
That definitely sounds like a dating app. Match to win. That sounds like,
You're 100% correct.
This is going to be your dream girl. You guaranteed. Or
Seth, we're giving you ideas here. So yeah, like there's times when I'm totally okay with that. I don't think you have to be throwing hands to call it a fight. And I'm gonna say
Well, I guess you're
right.
coming.
And I'm gonna say this is the main reason why, because I got in actual schoolyard brawls where no punches landed. One was thrown.
They were thrown though.
Okay.
They were thrown.
Right.
They tried.
What if it was just a hard head club?
Well, yeah, or I mean,
Yeah.
but I see what you're pointing because it's hard. It's hard for me to call the entire. It's hard for me to call it a fight, but at the same time, if I'm watching or two guys roll at the school, or I'm coaching, or whatever the case may be, and part of the match, especially if you're on bottom or someone's got your back, it's a fight.
Right.
You have to have fight in you to be
there's-
willing to not succumb and just do what you want with me.
There's
Right?
definitely
Yeah.
fighting those dogs. But
Yeah,
here's
exactly.
Here's the thing. Listen, if I 5-point somebody on concrete, they ain't getting up. If I ip on them on concrete, they ain't getting up.
Yeah.
If I knock the shit out of them with a tie kick to the head, probably ain't getting up. Okay? If these are the qualifiers, then the fact that I can choke somebody until they're unconscious, yeah, that's pretty fighty.
Well, it's still. Well, that's why we would still call it. It's still.
It's definitely a combat sport.
I was just gonna say you took it out. It's in the realm of combat sport, just like
Right.
I would consider.
But again, that's why I don't want to make a big deal. Like I don't have like a clear dividing line where it's like, well, this is not a fight because they are not punching each other. No strikes were thrown, although that foot sweep was brutal.
Well, as someone who played baseball through college, I mean, a baseball fight is just hilarious. I mean, it's you know what I mean.
You guys got bats and shit.
Yeah,
Get serious, I would imagine.
They throw
There
gloves.
was one.
They throw
I think
gloves
there
at
was-
each other.
I think there was one. There was one. I can't remember the date, the teams, the whatever, but there was one back in the 1920s where everyone bench clearing brawl and they grabbed the bats with them.
jeez.
Yeah. Now that one we'd have to. That's
some
worth,
serious hooligan shit there.
That's some worth. Some time worth trying to Google to find that one out. But I know. But I mean, most of the time, unless it was. Even what you look back at Robin Ventura and Nolan Ryan. If only Robin Ventura knew a little.
Knew some jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, no, just a little basic headlock defense because he swear to God he came in and Nolan Ryan put him in the headlock and started just classic schoolyard punching him. Yeah,
Man, that stuff is shockingly effective. Even to this day, I like to schoolyard punch people when the ref's back is turned. No, I'm kidding. Actually, though, so you played baseball all the way through college?
Well, I just to be fair, so I went to DePaul University, and they have I don't know what it is now, but when I was there, they had an NCAA club baseball team.
Okay.
So it wasn't. It was not Division I, but it was like, it was school affiliated. We had jerseys and whatnot. We weren't just playing against each other. We would, we play against like UIC, and we played against some schools up, Wisconsin and things of that nature. So we did some traveling, but we were also just a bunch of, hooligans who just wanted to play baseball for 4 more years. So,
but that's a serious commitment there.
Yeah, I mean, there was some commitment involved, but nothing like
Nothing too intense.
Nothing like Division I.
Okay.
It was just an opportunity to play 4 more years of baseball, which, and now I can't even watch baseball. I can't even watch it. It's just it's like watching paint dry. It's like when you're in it, when you're involved in it, when you're doing it.
Way more exciting, right?
Yeah, it's more exciting. Frankly, you have more of an appreciation for the game.
But I definitely got guys that have never played a day of baseball in their life that still love watching the sport.
And they absolutely love it. And for me, I mean, like I said, I played from being it was one of the things I've done from little kid through 21, and I can't watch it anymore. Yeah.
Is it because jiu-jitsu?
A lot of it has to do with jiu-jitsu. Like a lot of it has to do with martial arts and jiu-jitsu.
So how did you transition from baseball to jiu-jitsu?
It was pretty much simultaneous. So basically, I grew up doing martial arts as well as traditional sports. Okay. So like, baseball and basketball, football, I did 1 year of soccer. I couldn't handle that. I was kind of like, you kick the ball, I chase the ball, then the ball would get kicked over here, and then I chase it here. I always felt like I was in a constant state of chasing the ball and never really touching it. So
I was a fullback. I didn't have that problem.
There you go. See? So I was just kind of, soccer didn't work for me. But otherwise it was just like a lot of kids, it was, I think it was I was about 5 or 6, and that was, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoons were on the TV all the time.
Yes.
And then what was
business
it?
brought that away.
I think 90 or 91 was the movie, right?
Oh gosh, yeah.
90 or 91 was the movie. And
I'd have to look it up to be sure, but yeah, it was early 90s.
It was 90 or 91, and I was 7 at the time. And once
you're so young.
but once I saw that was it.
Like that's it. I need to be a ninja.
Once I saw that movie, I'm like, I need to learn
backflips.
I need to learn how to throw kicks like that. I need to
swords.
Learn so it was just yeah, exactly right. But no, it was just I'm like I need to learn whatever it is they're doing. I had so it was just one of those things about.
So your mother signed you up for Taekwondo. That's what's coming next, isn't
basically.
it? Yeah, I knew this.
So you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on it. So no, but I was nagging her and my dad about it constantly, but they were not keen on the idea at all.
For like your safety or?
No, I think they probably it was probably, I'm assuming.
Like, little Tony's going to get kicked in the head.
Basically.
Yeah.
I think it was like, why don't you just want to stick with this baseball thing? You know what I mean? Or this basketball thing or something like that. Because
a nice, safe sport.
Yeah, no, because, since this is Illinois, not Texas, so I wasn't already putting a football helmet on at 7. So, yeah, I mean, I think there was probably safety was a major concern, but, as my mom would say, she waited 4.5 years to have my brother for a reason. I was a hyperactive kid. Like I was
a bit of a handful, eh?
Yeah, exactly. So I was just bouncing off the walls. So they probably would label me like ADHD now and put me on a bunch of medication. But at the time, my mom was like, "You need structure, you need discipline." So it was actually I got what I wanted by just probably being a little crazy little shit. And then, you know what I mean?
Maximum annoyance.
Exactly. And so what ended up being a match in heaven because, like I said, I learned, structure and discipline and things, and all that while getting to learn what I wanted to learn. So, it's kind of the best of both worlds. So yeah, they started me off 7 years old. I started doing ITF style Taekwondo, which I just, got a little bit of distinction there
between WTF and ITF.
Yeah, I mean WTF is, as people who don't know, that's what you're going to see when you turn on the Olympics. The chest protectors, things of that nature. ITF, I mean, some people would I would have to say that ITF is definitely more similar to karate.
No, I would agree based on my
General was
experiences.
General Choi. Choi Hong Hee, I believe. I think
I could only give you the Choi part.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot. He spent time in Japan.
Right.
So
no, it's much closer to the original Shotokan base.
Right.
There's a heavier emphasis on actually delivering power strikes and a lot less emphasis on tippy tappy stuff.
Yeah, and so that was kind of like how we went ahead and I mean that's how I started. And that was my base and it took me fairly well because I had a had a very quality instructor. Mr. Mike Norman. I think he's still training now, even after multiple bouts with cancer. But now he's back healthy now and still training, still kicking, still doing his thing. But he went ahead and he set me down the right path as far as learning how to be a quality martial artist. But I think also and really drilling home those tenets of Taekwondo, which really I think are the cornerstone of any martial art. Mm-hmm. But then, and like I said, I have to say, he wouldn't even, it got to a point, he wouldn't even tell us to sign up for a tournament unless they allowed punching to the head. Because a lot of those Taekwondo tournaments, you can kick someone upside the head,
but you can't punch the head.
You can't punch the head.
Punch the body.
And he was just like, why are we? I think it got to a point where it's like, why are we doing this?
Right.
Why are we? I am not going to. I'm speaking kind of on his behalf. I'm not going to go ahead and encourage some. I mean, the first thing someone's probably going to do is, in any altercation, either tackle you or throw a haymaker, and we're training people to keep their hands down here, but mid chest level.
Look at you mid chest; those hands are down by the hips a lot of times, man.
Yeah. I'm being generous. I'm being generous.
Being too generous. Listen, so I train with enough Taekwondo athletes to make fun of them periodically. It's okay.
But no, I kind of did that like alongside, baseball, basketball, like I said, football when I got a little bit older. But the main love was always martial arts, and then by the time high school hit, as much as I was still doing Taekwondo, the testosterone was raising, and that just wasn't cutting it. So that's when I would tell my mom I was going to Taekwondo, or I'd tell my mom I was going to like some person's house or a party, and then I'd
But in reality,
sneak in. Well, I would just sneak into the city to go to kickboxing gyms.
Nice.
So it just around my high school years is when I started like upping it, doing boxing, training boxing, kickboxing, college.
Just to clarify,
yes.
Muay Thai or like American style kickboxing?
Well, high school, let's see. High school was mostly sparring American style, but learning Muay Thai style.
Okay.
Just for safety reasons.
Right. Because I'm trying to place the timeline here. Thai boxing wasn't particularly big in America or in Chicago.
I was in high school
at that time, I don't think.
high school I was from 98 to 2002.
Okay, yeah. So we definitely had some big Thai boxing gyms at that point.
For sure. Yeah. And there was, and I would definitely training and doing Thai on the mitts and things of that nature, doing, leg kicks and things like that, but
generally sparring above the waist.
Generally sparring no elbows,
right.
Knees pretty light. So maybe a hybrid of a Muay Thai and an American style for purposes of safety.
Right. I know a lot of gyms that don't want guys throwing elbows and in sparring at all.
Right.
So.
But then at the same time, things were different even just between 98 and 2002, where I think back and I'm like, at the time there was a guy who I was sparring with, and he was getting ready for a professional kickboxing fight in Mexico. Mm-hmm. And I was sparring with him. I was like, 16 or something like that. And he was teeing off on me. And I'm like,
this is ill-advised.
I'm like, in hindsight, now that I'm 35, I'm like, okay, I'm only 5 years older than him. I'm like, that was like assault.
Yeah.
And I was like, for real. And I went back for more the next day. So,
that's funny.
But
it was consensual assault though. So
Yeah,
it was
right?
consensual assault. But it was that old mentality, right? We're going to beat the crap out of you, and if you come back for more, you must be tough enough to learn how to strike.
Right.
That was
probably not the best thing for a lengthy career, but you will definitely either get good or get gone, one or the other.
Exactly. And so I think that was why eventually, I continued to box, kickbox, taekwondo, dabble in all these things. So then by the time I was, in my teens doing amateur fights, and then early 20s doing, amateur fights, whether it be kickboxing, started to gravitate more towards amateur boxing. People were just, like I said, shout out to Mr. Mike Norman. People were they're like, wait a minute, like, you got good hands for a taekwondo guy. I was like, well, it's not all what you see on TV, or
just a little aside. So the jiu-jitsu style that I originally come from before Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Okay. My instructor had a mixed background in American style kickboxing, taekwondo, and tang sudo as well. So he had done martial arts just coming up his whole life.
Chuck Norris, tang sudo, right?
Yeah, that's what I never traded with Chuck Norris.
I think that's the style that he came up under.
Yes,
yeah.
he came up under Tung Sudo, although everyone calls what he does karate.
It'd
but
be nice to get Chuck Norris on the podcast.
I'll see what I can do about that. Might be a little harder than Hickson Gracie.
Jiu-Jitsu pioneer.
Yeah.
Jiu-Jitsu pioneer. as
Major
well.
league,
For sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
all.
This is going on a wild aside, but yeah, like the Machados and the Gracies. Open a huge desk.
talk about-
Dan and Asano would be nice to get on the podcast.
Also on the list.
I mean,
Now,
what are you doing, Javi? You're,
just slacking on my job.
Yeah. I mean, just
He's just
legends.
are you making notes? I don't see you writing these names
It's
down.
up here. It's
Okay.
up here, bro.
Superfoot? Like, come on now.
Dude, I would love to have a conversation with Bill Superfoot Walls. That would be an amazing time. He has a judo background. He would fit him just right.
I heard. I mean, that was he was inspiration for me when I had a little like a pulled muscle in my back when I was like 16, and I remember
Like if Superfoot can do it, I can do it.
Well, no, it was just one of those things. I remember there was a period of time it hurt to throw a kick with my, I don't know, whatever leg it was above my waist.
Right.
So I only was throwing kicks with one side.
One
And I
leg,
was like,
yeah.
well, if he can do it.
Were they the same 3 kicks, side, roundhouse, and hook?
There was a
some
lot of hook turning side. Yeah.
I love those combos.
No, the side turning hook, man. That was a great combo. Unless someone double legs you.
Well, yeah. Dude. Context is important here, people.
Yeah. Well, that's which I learned later on in life.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyhow, so I didn't know very much about martial arts at the time when I started training with him.
Right.
Like, even though I have a propensity for like researching stuff and whatnot, and he got talking about Taekwondo one time, and at a later date, we moved from the Hapkido / Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school that we were in to a dedicated Taekwondo school, and he got talking about Taekwondo one time, and I was like, "Hey, man, like, what really is Taekwondo?" Because I've read and heard some different things. He's like, Taekwondo, the way I learned it, is kind of like karate, but with boxing hands. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like that sounds really awesome and everything. And I would talk to older guys that did Taekwondo, and they all basically gave me that kind of a response. It's like, heavy emphasis on kicks, and then the hand techniques is a lot of very similar to boxing and whatnot. But then I would talk to newer guys that are like sports competitors, like, no, it's nothing like boxing, man. We're not even allowed to punch a guy in the face.
Right.
And at the time, I had no idea that there were like 2 major different disciplines in Taekwondo, between ITF and WTF, and it confused the hell out of me because I'm like, this looks an awful lot like hands down spinny stuff, and this looks like what I was told Taekwondo
Well,
is.
and to your point, like they have. I'm kind of like, it's the way I learned. I'm kind of, and it was a little tricky with jiu-jitsu because there's too many moves to name. Too many positions to even name.
You just give me time.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
So
me and Eddie Bravo got this on lock.
I know,
It's okay.
I know. But they have the Taekwondo, the ITF Taekwondo, like full book encyclopedia where I have it at my mom's house. I probably dust it off.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Massive.
Yeah, it's got like every single technique in Taekwondo and a picture of it and everything. It's great. It's a great book, but like 75% of them are hand techniques.
Right.
And people wouldn't like. They're like, what? They'd be surprised at that. And elbows,
Right.
use of elbows and things, and not nearly probably at the level of the drilled and proficiency of a Thai guy, but I mean, they're
Right.
there. They're there to be used and learned.
Right. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not actually allowed to use those in any of the rule sets for Taekwondo.
But I mean, it's kind of like the art, the sport versus the art, just like in jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Right.
what are you gonna, what you're gonna do on the street is gonna be different than you do on the mats or in the ring or.
You mean you're not going to try and hit like a perfect 180-degree splits kick on somebody in the street?
Well, I
Bro,
mean, for style points,
Jean-Claude Van Damme has misled me.
JCVD for style points, but popular to what Keenan says, I will not be pulling lapel guard either.
No worm wrestling for you, sir?
That was a mighty claim. And I know it's Keenan, but he said he could beat anyone in the world in a fight on the street, pull lapel guard and win. Anyone. That's a big claim.
This is eventually going to lead to a beating.
Yeah, I don't know. But I thought, when I was younger, I thought it was.
Khabib will take him up on this offer.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it.
Khabib will show up in a Sambo jacket, which you can't touch the lapel.
He's like, take the lapel. Here, go for it. It's good. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I found it odd when I was younger that when I started out in martial arts, it was Jeet Kune Do, and
we all love Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
we all did.
Yeah, but then we introduced jiu-jitsu, into our in '93, and I was like, oh, this is awesome, you know.
Slash terrible.
Right. Terrifying for me being little. You know, I went through the motions and I dealt with it, but I found it odd. I thought every martial art was doing that same thing.
Adding jujitsu, you mean?
Adding jujitsu.
I mean, a lot of them did, but yeah, not everyone. Definitely not everyone.
Yeah.
We tried. Well, I shouldn't say we. So the instructor my Taekwondo instructor that I referenced, who's, like I said, he's a very influential person in my life, kind of like, you know, my grandfather, my dad, and it was him. I mean, those are kind of the three most influential men in my life. He tried, I mean, because he was not like the type of person like you need Taekwondo and that's all you need. You know, he was like he was the consummate learner. So he got, you know, a second degree black belt in Hapkido, and then he was also like when he watched the UFC, he was like,
shit, we need to know how to do this.
We need to know how to do this. I mean, but the thing though is he didn't have the background or the training, you know. So he was teaching us by buying the Henner and Hoyler book.
Wow.
The Henner, and he would go through it, and we were just
like,
trying.
This looks right.
We were just trying to piece it together on our own.
Yeah, so many people did that in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, but it's better than, I guess, not trying at all, right? Better than.
So in essence, you were introduced to jiu-jitsu a little bit.
I was introduced to it. Let's put it this way: I was introduced to it in high school, but I didn't really get a chance to respect it and respect the power of grappling until I finally stepped on the mats when I was 25. Like,
wow!
So that was
done with baseball, done with Taekwondo at that point.
Well, no, I mean, basically by the time I was in college, I was pretty. I mean, I had a little bit of a hand in Taekwondo, but by the time I was in college, like I said, I still was playing baseball, but I was all but turning towards, you know,
full-time video gamer.
No, just you know, boxing, kickboxing.
Okay,
that was like where I was completely
that
gravitating.
was the focus at that point.
Yeah, and the same into my early 20s. I mean, my biggest regret, like many people,
you didn't wrestle in high school. I'm going to hear those words.
That was the biggest regret.
Zito is the only person that doesn't regret that because he hates wrestling no matter what. Alex Matusev is very upset right now.
I'm just not my thing.
It's not fair. I mean, I think that, you know, if you want to be a complete grappler, you should have some. I mean, it could be judo, or you know, or there's some really great, you know, there's jiu-jitsu moves that you can become super proficient at and make that work for you.
No, if you've got like, as much as we frequently bang on the lack of wrestling in jiu-jitsu, there are quite a few academies that do have good takedown.
Crohn's
methods.
takedown of Alex Caceres. I mean, that was right.
Like, that was classic.
Classic Gracie fundamentals takedown. I mean,
Gracie self-defense, disc 1, volume 1.
I mean, no offense to him, but I mean, he may not be a Habib, but he is a world-class MMA
He's
athlete,
top flight competitor. And,
I mean, and so anyways.
So yeah, I guess. Sorry, we're dancing around the subject. How did you get into jiu-jitsu then?
So yeah, and that's actually the thing. So, but like I said, I regretted not wrestling because I guess you could say you learn the power of striking often every time you get hit in the head. But unless you roll around or wrestle with you don't really get to. You have to like get ragdolled before you to truly respect it. And I remember I had some friends that wrestled, and they weren't like. I remember like. Okay, they would take me down, and then I'd pull them into guard, and then they'd be like slap fighting, and I'd hold their head down, and I was barely really getting touched. You know what I mean?
You're like, this is fine.
I'm like, this is fine. I can handle this. And then I'm like, and then they would get annoyed, and I would get annoyed. I'm like, okay, so then we would just stand back up, and then I would just resume the fight, and then I'd be where I want.
Right.
But like I said, these are guys who like.
You're screwing around.
They're screwing around. They're just learning wrestling themselves. They're not like going to be going to state anytime soon. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, anyways, so we flash forward. You know, and I've done boxing fights, amateur kickboxing fights, things of that nature. But I've really gravitated toward boxing. Spent a lot of time, probably about 5 years, boxing at a Hamlin Park boxing gym.
Okay.
Which I would always recommend to anyone who wants to learn amateur boxing or just in general learn how to protect yourself with your hands, get your head out of the way of punches, which is always a great skill to learn. Even for simple jiu-jitsu self-defense. Getting your head off the line.
There's a huge value to being able to slip and good footwork, and
which feeds right into distance management and takedowns and everything. So, but it was really it was two things. I have chronic tendonitis in both my shoulders.
That sounds terrible.
I had it in my right from all the years of throwing.
Okay.
And then I developed it in my left because I wasn't like a speedster as far as fast twitch muscles go in boxing.
Okay.
So if you're not fast, you rely on volume and technique, which means lots of jabs. Mm-hmm. So you can almost you can kind of like I have like these. I have like if I took my shirt off, both my collarbones, like I have like these protruding, Sol Kim. And everyone knows Sol Kim. I think a lot of people know Sol Kim.
Yeah.
He, in Nogi, he's learned to use these protruding shoulder bones I have he uses them as a handle. Yeah, I know. The jerk is already he's already good enough, but he's learned how to use my high clavicle shoulder bones as a handle in Nogi, so he can get any grip he can. But basically, it's just every doctor's ever asked me, they're like, "Have you dislocated both your shoulders?" And I was like, maybe.
Not that I know of.
maybe in the womb. Not that I know of. I was like, but I think that's my own little self-diagnosis, is that because I have these high clavicles, I'm curious. I bet you that the ball and socket never truly fits in the way it should. So there's extra play, which keeps knocking those tendons. And so, I mean, I got I'm just used to managing it now.
Right. Tapping early on Kimuras or Americanas.
They're for me, the defense to an Americana is to not be there.
Right. Well,
because I can't handle that. So for me, the defense is a lot of prevention, and at least with that submission.
I mean, it's the best defense for most submissions, but yeah.
Yeah, but that one particularly, there's no late defense. I don't have.
You got to be hyper aware.
I can't have a late defense to an Americana. Yeah. Other ones, yes, but then jump forward to 25, and 25 was pretty much when around 25 I was getting frustrated because I could not fight in boxing as often as I would like, because like I would get prepared, there'll be a week out, and then I can't like put my shirt on. I can't lift my left arm to put my shirt on because now I went from tendonitis to whatever the chronic tendinosis, whatever the chronic name is, where now it's going to take me a couple weeks just to lift my arm. Whew. So I mean, and since I'm not getting paid, I'm getting paid like it's an amateur fight. So I think it's like you're not technically allowed to get paid. So I think it's like $50 for the win, 25 to show up. Which in amateur boxing they give you $50, which is basically like that's considered you're not getting paid. That's considered money for traveling and food. So it's like basically your transport. So basically you get
transport expenses.
Yeah. So basically, crazy. I win, and then me and my brother would just go get like
slice of pizza.
No, we would just literally after my brother was usually in my corner for most of my younger brother, my younger, bigger brother was usually in my corner for all my fights. So we'd be like, all right, we're going to get some pizza, we get some ribs, we get some tacos. It's like, so we just spend all the money on food and pass out. So,
I mean, this is a solid plan. This is,
of course.
Yeah. I do this after every tournament as well.
Yeah. So, but we would, but then at 25, it just got very frustrating, and it wasn't going away. And so I was looking like, well, and then simultaneously is when the information about chronic traumatic encephalopathy came out, and how bad getting hit in the head was for you. And that when you hear about you don't think much of it, you're like, okay, I mean, I know boxing is not good for me, but I'm not a professional. I'm just doing this for fun, blah, 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 blah. But then you hear about people getting black spots in their head from heading a soccer ball, and you're like, oh shit, I'm fucked. Yeah. I'm like, I probably have that from all the striking I've done. My head's probably equivalent to a college football player. So I took more amateur fight and hung it up. And I've probably in the last 10 years, so then 25, I was like, well, I am an incomplete martial artist. Because at the end of the day, I've always considered myself, it's all about martial arts. Mm-hmm. That's like kind of like my religion. So I was like, well, if someone tackled me and put me on the ground and wouldn't let me get up, I wouldn't know what to do. So I'm like, I guess it's time to fill this hole and be a more complete martial artist. And that led me to jiu-jitsu. And 10 years later, it's the best decision I've ever made. And like I said, it's like everybody else. Wish I started sooner. Yeah. Wish I started wrestling. Right. But yeah, so it's 25, and now I'll be 36 in April, and my October is my jiu-jitsu anniversary month. So it was 10 years this past October. Yeah.
Did you started with the Redzovics?
Yes, I started when it was. I've been with the Redzovics
back when it was Gracie Baja. Right?
Yeah. Because at the time I just Google Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, And they had the you know they had the
Top hits.
I think Adams told me that they were just lucky enough at the time that they were able to get gbchicago.com. Okay. It was
available.
It was available, and it sure as hell wouldn't be available now. But they were able to grab it, so it was like the top hit. And I'm like, even if you knew anything about martial arts, you knew the Gracie name at the very least.
Right.
So I was like, well, let me walk in. 10 years later, it's now it's happening till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, I think we're all on that grind at this point.
We're trying to keep the wheels on so we can like we were talking before we started, so we can be like Barry, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Still do. Love you, Professor Barry.
I just saw him this morning.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. But that's the thing is, we love winning, we love being competitive, but as we're all getting older, trying to find that balance where we can still do this in our 70s and 80s.
Maybe don't use Barry as an example because that crazy bastard, he just did a ski trip again.
Yeah.
He comes in, he's walking all slow, his back's looking all messed up, and he didn't take a fall or anything, but and he's like, oh, my knees are killing me and everything. I'm like, how was the skiing? Yeah. He's like, oh, it was great. I had a great time. He was with his son, and I was teaching foot sweeps today, and I'm like, he's feeling terrible. He's not going to do any of these. Nope. Jumps right in. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why we love him.
He's got to have some freak genetic condition. There's no way.
That's why we love him.
But yeah, no, that's exactly how I aspire to be. Like,
man.
Another 30 years or so with that level of commitment and intensity. That'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? I don't like. Especially with our time, but this is I know no one on the screen can no one can see
see what you're showing. That's okay.
Yeah, exactly. But this, we can describe it. I'm being an old man. I'm like an old man with technology.
Oh gosh. Do I need to blow up your screen size?
No, I'm like the oldest 35-year-old when it comes to technology. As me and my wife joke around, I'm in charge of Homeland Security and she's our IT person. No, but this is like my inspiration right there. Just two, grizzled.
Oh, that's a great picture.
Barrel-chested veterans.
What is this, like Masters 7?
Yeah, it's like probably Masters whatever. But
fantastic.
they're all taped up, and whenever I start just feeling like, oh, I'm beat up and I'm tired and I don't want to do this, I'm getting old, and these
you ain't that old yet.
These 20-year-olds are coming after me. I just look at this photo and I'm like, all right, that's the dream, and suck it up.
Yep.
It's like Cousin Tommy.
Yep, my cousin Tommy.
How's he doing?
Doing good.
Your cousin Tommy?
Yeah. Zito, it's so funny. Zito didn't know. Like he's training at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. He didn't know that he had a cousin who is a renowned black belt. Here in the Carlson Gracie black belt. Everyone we talk to knows his cousin. Nobody knows Zito. knows his cousin. Right. And everyone how did it came up at dinner one time or something?
It's like a third cousin, or you?
So it's so weird. I've always known him as Tommy, the Chicago police officer, ever since I was a kid.
Okay.
So we were at every year my family gets together for a Christmas party. It's like extended family and everyone like that on my mother's side. So it's the Rovella family Christmas party. So I just started jiu-jitsu back again when I was 39. I started back, and I was a blue belt already. So I was already in it for
so cocky
years.
at the time too. He's like, I'm a fucking blue belt. I take on the world.
Right. So my dad was talking to cousin Tommy, who's a Chicago cop. He's like, Anthony, he's doing martial arts. And then Tommy's like, tells him that, and my dad looks at me, he goes, cousin Tommy, he does martial arts too. I go, oh yeah, okay.
It sounds like my family. They don't know what the name is.
Yeah,
right. You do that kick and punching thing, right?
Well, at least you used to. I mean,
and I was like, Tommy's at that time he was 69 years old.
Right.
He's 70, whatever he is now. But I'm like, okay, Dad, what does he do? So then I go to Tommy, and I'm like, hey, Tommy, how you doing? He's like, oh, what are you doing now? I'm like, oh, I started training jiu-jitsu. He's like, oh, yeah, let me show you some pictures. So he's showing me pictures of him in the favelas in Brazil with Carlson. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's so bizarre. I'm like, oh. So found out he's a black belt under Carlson. Nice. And I did not even know it.
Well, that's like
and then he would come to 10th Planet and train with us in Leg Lock Club.
Yep.
Right?
Nice.
Yep.
So we've got
right after it. He's
right
like, leg
after
locks, you don't say.
Yeah.
Give me some of that.
He's like, I
That's
need to
awesome.
take this back and beat up some younger guys with these leg locks. So he
Nice.
would do that.
True
We were
words.
showing him
True
like
words.
heel hooks in no-gi, and he's like fucking on it, man. 70-something years old.
7 years old. It's time to crafty veteran. You know,
Yeah,
that's what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. You know,
I tried to get him on the podcast, but I don't think it'll work out. He's like, I don't even know what that is. I'm like, you don't have to. It's okay. we'll skip that.
no, that was like my dad got it. He's like, oh, you're gonna be on the podcast? That's so cool. He's like, well, you've invested like most of your life to martial arts. He's like, what? How do I listen? How do I listen? I was like, I'll take care of you. I'll
exactly.
take care of you.
We'll look this up.
I'll send you.
I'll send my IT professional over to hook you up.
I'll send you a direct link. Don't worry about it.
And weren't you telling me that something's not showing up on a
iHeartRadio stream isn't showing up properly.
iHeartRadio? I haven't looked into it, but the thing is, through Libsyn, that's what we use to upload the podcast. You basically they just say, click here. You want to be on iHeartRadio, and you just click. Yeah. And then I don't know if there's a
Two of our listeners now have pointed this out to me.
Okay. I'll log back
it
into
apparently
Libsyn
only goes
and
up to, I want to say episode like 80 something.
Oh, so something's wrong. It's
yeah.
not
So,
syncing.
like it was working.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because Spotify, iHeartRadio, I don't really pay attention too much to them, but I'll log in and check it out and see why it's not showing the recent episodes. Because there shouldn't be shouldn't cap
He's my
off.
IT guy.
Yeah, but I'm busy too. So.
I'm busy.
We're on so many platforms that if it's not on our radio,
it is tricky to keep track of, isn't it?
Go somewhere else. You can find it. You can find it
If you
somewhere
can't
else.
get it on your favorite platform, try another one. That's Zito's professional advice.
That's right. There's more than one way to skin a cat, right?
There's that. I mean,
if you're skinning cats, if that's your thing, I guess. That's a weird fucking thing to say,
it's an old
right?
saying. It's an old saying.
So why is that a saying?
There's probably some interesting etymology there. I'm not sure what it is.
Because I never really
really
realized skinning a cat is a strange thing to say.
I don't think it's talking about literal skinning of cats.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a slang term.
Slang for
But we'll find that out, I guess. We'll Google that one off the air and report back at a future date.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
It's like not for all the tea in China or whatever.
Right.
It's like that.
There's a lot of tea in China,
There's a lot
though,
of
to be
tea in
honest
China,
here.
yeah.
Like, all the tea comes from China, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so getting back to it, just away from the tea in China and the cats and whatnot.
And old man phrases.
Yeah. So you regretted not wrestling in high school, but
Of
you've
course.
made up for that since then, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's it's not something that like, the physical motions and like the certain, muscles that get developed by doing that in your formative years.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure it's not easy, but I'm, trying to build that now, but like basically roughly. So yeah, I mean, roughly about the last 4 years, I've been working with Alex Matusov, who you've had on the show, I think a couple weeks ago, or about maybe a month ago.
A couple episodes ago. Let's just
say a couple of episodes ago, and he, I mean, that was just, it was kind of like it was around. You said blue belt. Blue belt's like an interesting belt because that's like when you're out of kind of like the dog days of white belt. Because the first 6 months, I mean, I don't know how you guys felt. The first 6 months of jiu-jitsu, I did not like it. But because it was so hard, it was what kept me coming back. Because striking for me was kind of natural. I don't know.
Yeah, you've been doing it long enough,
just
right?
But for some reason, some people, there's just some people like jiu-jitsu comes a little natural to certain people, just the way their brain operates,
Yeah,
and
for
for me, striking.
We hate those people.
We do. Yeah, like,
100%.
There's guys like that I can think of off the top of my head from Redzovic. Yeah, they just you could see the way their brain operates. It's like it just fits. It all just the puzzle just makes sense to them. So that was kind of how striking was for me. But grappling for me I had to take time to let it sink in. So but that 6 months the why is this so hard is what made me like, okay, I have to figure this out. I have to figure this out because
The challenge.
Yeah, and then once you kind of start getting those micro goals, like you start like, okay, rather than just laying here completely helpless, I can at least try to do this.
Right. I have a path to possible escape.
Exactly. Not to say I will.
Right. But I know what I should be doing.
I know what I should be doing. So now, at least now that I know what I should be doing, okay, that gives me something to work with. So now it's fun, right? And so at Blue Belt, that was kind of like when that was, I'm still trying to learn how. I definitely showed my propensity towards guard passing. While I love playing the guard, and that's probably what I do 75% of the time in training, when I compete, I like to
be on top passing.
I like to take down, pass, submit.
Yeah.
But what's the first thing I said?
You had to get him down.
Yeah,
or you had
him
to,
down.
or you had to have that clever strategy of, I hope he pulls guard.
Yeah, one of the two. Right? So it was funny because towards once I started the tail end of the second half of Blue Bells, when I just started Googling how to do a wrestling shot.
Right.
And I just started whatever I'd see a D1 or Kerry Colat.
Colat's a great resource to find, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn.
But I would just start mimicking what they were doing and just start putting time in on the mats before and after, just practicing walking myself through a shot and things of that nature. But then luckily, when I was somewhere around my purple belt stage, I was lifting weights at the former Conviction Fitness on Western.
Okay.
And I was just looking over, and I just see this guy, wrestling with. I saw him multiple times. One, so I'm giving a private lesson to a girl who I believe was getting ready for some MMA fights, and I saw him again wrestling with some guys. I'm like, you could just tell when someone
that guy's got it.
Yeah. You just tell when someone okay, that is a high level of technique, and I need to work with that guy. And
Right.
and I literally I just introduced myself, and I just said, I'm like, I will pay for privates, I will whatever. And he was just one of those things why don't you just come to my class? And and it was all from there. And now it's kind of when it comes to wrestling, that Alex is my resource, and for sure. And I owe him a lot. I owe him. He's like I said, I've been very fortunate between, Mike Norman, Bill Hagelin from Hamlin Boxing Gym, Alex, the Redzovics. I feel I'm very fortunate in the
A lot of good coaches.
extremely fortunate in the coaches that I've had. And this one guy, I'm blanking on his last name because that's sometimes what happens. Coach Larry, who directed me to Bill over at Hamlin. So no, just very fortunate for that. So learning, trying to get my fill of wrestling now in my 30s, and
awkward time to start, but
it's an awkward time to start.
Better late than never.
Better late than absolutely better late than never. And it comes a little bit slower, but there's pride when your waist size stays the same, but your collar on your dress shirt is starting to increase by a couple inches.
There you go.
So that's that means you're doing something right with your head work and your neck.
Absolutely.
So, and I just think that it's. For me personally, not for everyone. And I know guys who don't train wrestling at all and are extremely successful jiu-jitsu practitioners. But just for me personally, I feel like it really it kind of meshes with my personality and has taken my game to another level. Mm-hmm. I found particularly wrestling has really helped, for instance, my half guard game.
Because coming up on singles.
Well, I just that's part of it. But treating the half guard no gi underhook, how exactly the way you treat it standing. Lots of times when you get that underhook, and sometimes there's a separation of your head from the other person's torso or body, or and then it just made sense. Once I started wrestling, I started getting. It still happens, but I started getting my head wrapped less because I'm like, okay. I'm more cognizant of where my head position is. Why would I ever underhook you and then have this massive space on my feet? No, I'm going to have my forehead in your temple.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Him.
Yeah. So it's why wouldn't you do the same in half guard on the ground? Which avoids you from getting your head wrapped and now you're in a guillotine. Like I said, granted, it still happens from time to time because you got guys who are great guillotine hunters.
Right.
Yeah. But same thing with butterfly guard. Things like the ducking under.
I don't think I heard a sound. I'll check it.
I'll check. Go ahead.
You got it? Okay.
No, just things like a duck under from butterfly guard. There's little arm drag has become
major tool there.
Yeah, the arm drag has become one of my favorite guard techniques to the point that I'm forcing myself to stop doing it so much in training because I don't want to become a one trick pony.
Right.
So it's. okay, this is awesome. It works for me. I want to keep perfecting it, but I don't want that to be the only thing I have. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I end up teaching a lot of stand up at most of the gyms that I'm at, and a lot of people come to me and they're initially interested in my perspective because I've competed in Sambo and I've got a judo black belt and whatnot.
Absolutely.
And I tell them all the time, I'm like, listen, it's not that the throws and techniques of Sambo or judo aren't good for jiu-jitsu, because they are, but there's a lot of them that I would want to show you from a judo standpoint. They're actually very high risk in a jiu-jitsu environment, because of the way you would finish them or the risk of the entry where you're turning your back and things like that. And oftentimes, even though they come to me for like judo takedowns, I end up teaching them like this hybrid wrestling style that I've got, where a lot of times it's like, I don't really want to put you on your back. I want to put you on your hands and knees, so that I can take your back, ways of bypassing guards with proper leg and head position and things like that. So, yeah.
Well, I just think like too. I mean, whether whatever your personality is, I think that having that standing element, that threat, if you will, whether it's Sambo, judo, wrestling, like we mentioned some of the Gracie techniques. I mean, having that element to your game as a threat, I just think that makes you that complete grappler, and just in general not just for competition, because you could just sit down and pull a guard and win many a competition, but if you're just the pursuit of knowledge, right? The endless. Because for me, like now I'm just grappling addicted. Anything grappling related, whether it's jiu-jitsu, wrestling, the leg lock game. I would love to start doing judo. It's just time,
right?
The unfortunate, the unfortunate day job that keeps getting in the way of my grappling. Stupid jobs.
What do you do during the day?
I work in finance.
Oh, wow.
So I work. If you guys are familiar with, used to be called back in the day Crow, Chiswick and Horwath. It's like one of the bigger accounting firms in the country. But I was hired by them to do. I work for them doing like financial consulting. Okay. So it's not very exciting, but you know what? First, I should
pays for grappling, doesn't it?
It pays for grappling, puts roof over the head, and yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It pays for me to do all these hobbies and have a warm bed and food in the fridge. So
your IT person probably appreciates.
Yes,
it. Yeah.
my wife greatly appreciates my wife IT chef extraordinaire. She greatly appreciates that. So, but yeah, no, I mean. But it is funny though when you have people at like in an 8 to 5 and they get so giddy over like a work project, and I have to pretend to be as excited as they are, because I'm like, and in my head I'm just like, why are you weirdos so excited over this?
Right.
I'm like, yeah, no, I'm all about putting in a hard day's work, and I'm all about like having quality work, but I'm not excited over all this Excel work that you're going to hand me. I'm excited about getting it done so I can get to the max.
Leave.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So you work in like a normal 8 to 5 office environment.
I do.
Button up shirt, tie required. Yes, no?
You know what? It's kind of that's where pretty much all of my employment has been. Since graduating college and getting a job at right out. This current company I work for, I've been fortunate that they have this new policy. And I think this is like the new wave of they have this free workspace and kind of work where you're most needed, followed by work where you're most productive.
Okay.
So if you're not needed physically in the office to like meet with someone or work with someone in close proximity on a project, I just work from home.
Well, that's awesome.
Which is fine because
nice.
I'm actually more productive at home because I'm an extrovert. So, like I said,
you'll be gabbing.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be rather than like I said, just dive right into this Excel project that I just can't wait to do. I'll be like, yeah, let's go get a cup of coffee. What I mean? But when you're by yourself and it's just you and the dog,
right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, maybe I should get that project
My
done.
dog also helps me with Excel. What a coincidence.
But it's like, oh, no one to talk to.
Right.
Maybe
I'll just have to nose to the grindstone, right?
Exactly. Maybe I should knock this out so I can get my training in as soon as possible, right?
Right.
So
That's good.
Yeah. So that's what I do by day. But like I said, the dream is the dream has always been, I love teaching. You know, I enjoy competing. I love teaching. So for me, you know, someday if I could have a place or with someone else or you know, like Professor Barry has.
I splits it with Bill.
Yeah,
with Taekwondo school.
he splits it. You know, he has his one business, and then he also has where he splits the facility with the Taekwondo school or whatever the case may be. I know our mutual friend, Jason Bender. Shout out to you, Jason.
Shout out to Jason Bender yet again.
You gave me a nice one, and he's a great guy as well. I was singing his praises the other day to someone. I heard he's having a really good showing at Cheetah Gym.
Yeah, and
it's building for him. It's growing.
I don't want his head to blow up too much because he is quite the listener of the show, but he won't hear this for a couple of weeks. So yeah, like that program is growing by leaps and bounds. I'm super impressed with what, like, no offense to anyone, but like when you've got like a big gym space and like you fill it, it's like, okay, cool, you're clearly doing well. But when you have a fairly tiny matted space and you fill it and those students don't mind, like that's saying something.
It is.
You know, like if you've got this multi-thousand square foot space and you got like 8 guys that are consistently showing up, that's cool. That's cool.
Right.
But, you know, like that's probably not paying the overhead. Okay. But when you got like 12 people on a Sunday in this tiny area and they're all there to work and learn and be totally like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's the start of something bigger at some point too.
Yeah.
Who
No,
knows?
and I hope so for him as well.
Do you teach now?
It doesn't surprise me that Jason's a great teacher.
Oh, he's awesome.
I know of him. I've met him through, and then most of our contact has been from wrestling together under Alex, and then seminars. It doesn't, just based on his personality, it doesn't surprise me he's a great teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, so to your question, Anthony, I do. I teach, you know, for the Redzovics. I'm not like I don't have like a set class every week. When I was unemployed, you know, they were kind enough to give me set times and things of that nature. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like one of their coach instructors. You know, they know that I love to teach, and that if someone can't make it, to give me a call, and I'm always willing to help out if I can. Right now, just because of like, I think just because of time and age, timing is everything, right? So right now I'm trying to be a little bit selfish and compete as much as possible.
Right.
I mean, you know, like I said, my wife and I we're looking to have some major life changes on the horizon. So but all good things though, all good things.
I assumed the way you smiled when you said that they were good things.
It's all good things.
True.
But the thing is that it's gonna cut into that time of, you know, being able to just be selfish and focus on yourself and sharpen your sword for competition. So I see a lot more teaching in my future. So right now I'm just taking a little time to be a little bit selfish with my training before, like I said, but I love paying it forward.
Yeah.
I really do. I think and I'm very, very, I'm extremely, extremely impatient with myself. But it's about as impatient as I am with myself as how patient I am with other people. You know what I mean? So
I think that's a good balance to have, actually, honestly. Yeah.
As long as I'm patient with other people and not being a jerk, you know, I think that I have that obsessive compulsive perfectionist gene, which is okay. It drives you to success, but sometimes there's maybe
apparently it drives you to finance too. That one seems pretty common.
But it also, like, you know, it sometimes there's a little bit easier way to achieve that success without, you know, being so hard on yourself. So,
but then you would feel like you weren't doing enough, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, right. There definitely is that balance of knowing you're doing that right amount, but then you have confidence. Adam Redzovic put it well. Like having the confidence to take a day off. You know what I mean? It's like your game's not going to go anywhere. If anything, maybe you need it, or the confidence to take a week off.
Well, we're talking crazy talk now.
I know we are.
Listen, Adam, you call me. Okay, we need to have a little heart to heart here about what you're telling your students. I don't approve of this.
But no, that was you know, I was trying to accommodate you guys with time today. I was just like, you know, that's something like I've you know, often injured myself just from being a consummate overtrainer.
Right.
You know, and so now that I'm trying to not just train hard, but train smarter. And actually, you know, be my best version on competition day and not like a sore, beat up version, you know, like, which we all show up to competition with our various
Everyone shows
injuries.
up injured. It's just a matter of degrees.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you don't want to have that take no prisoner mentality. You don't want to be like, oh my God, my body's so beat up, you know? So yeah, I mean, with that, like, you know, he even said, he's just like, you know, you got like what, 4 nagging minor injuries. You're feeling a little burnt out. He's like, just take a week off. Nothing's going to happen to your jiu-jitsu in a week. He's like, you can kind of come back probably, you know, with a fire in your belly more after that week.
Yeah.
And
Despite my protest, I actually don't disagree with what he said.
and it's true. I did it begrudgingly, and now it's like this whole weekend I'm just like, I got that itch.
Yeah,
because a couple weeks ago I was like, oh, I gotta go to train. You know what I mean? Because you get a little burnt out after a while. And now
I'm waiting for that day personally. It just never seems on the horizon.
You never get that?
No, not at all.
But
one of the things, I think this is really key, because you were kind of talking about it anyhow. Like, I think one of the things that keeps me so interested in it is I'm always doing something different. Like, I bounce around between a lot of different schools, so I'm dealing with a lot of different people. So there's never like that, oh, this same old crap, we've been working on this for, you know, X amount of time. No, like I'm doing different stuff over here, different stuff over there. I'm learning this from this guy. I'm teaching that to that guy. So there's that element. And also the big thing I think is I train and teach a lot, and I manage to modulate between the two. So it's like, you know, on like a Monday, that's all a training day. On a Tuesday, that's mostly a teaching day with only a little bit of training. On Wednesday, that's a mixed teaching and training. You know, so like that's a big part of it for me, where I'm always either, because I'm teaching one thing and training something else, you know, like it's just always different.
I think it's more like I don't really ever get like tired of training or showing up at the gym. You know, I'm pretty much a gym rat, but I think it's more like when it's your own personal training, your own personal goals, and I think it's more, maybe everyone's different. For me, sometimes it's not even a physical break, it's a mental break. Because when you really, like, for instance, you know, these are my teammates. Everybody, I mean, that's probably like the MO about me, is that, you know, way too hard on myself. And so that's something that I try to, like, the people that, you know, I help out behind me, you know, whether they're teenagers or adults, you know, I try to let them know, like, you know, yeah, work hard, hold yourself to a standard, you know, but at the same time, it's like, don't do it the way I did it. There's a less painful way about, because when you're taking it so seriously, it's easier to get burnt out. You know?
I mean, it's never not fun for me. That's the thing.
And see, that's the thing, is I think that when I'm just loose and I'm having fun with it, it's the greatest thing on earth. It was who was it? Tom DeBlas. You know, he said, it's like, it's not. He's like, there's nothing wrong.
Do I need to get him on the podcast too?
I think we do.
It'd be nice.
Okay,
He's got some good thoughts, good theories here and there. But no, like he had said the same. What did he say the other? Because he put some great stuff out on social media where he said, like, it's not jiu-jitsu that sucks, it's your attitude.
Yeah,
and that's
I
really
saw that
what
post not too long ago.
And that's really what it's usually. Jiu-jitsu is usually one of the greatest things in my life when my attitude is where it should be. But if, like, I'm feeling negative or frustrated, or maybe, like I said, bringing outside frustrations on the mat with me, then yeah, it's the attitude that is polluting my sanctuary, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
No, that's the perfect way to put it.
So then it's kind of like, okay, let's take a couple steps back and just kind of, you know, like I said, regain that love, that itch to get back on the mat, you know, and just want to be there all day. So, and just kind of recalibrate, reset your brain a little bit, get the priorities back in order. So,
Yeah, I could totally appreciate that. I mean,
You're looking forward to your next vacation?
well, not that. It's just, I'm just, you know, when I go snowboarding, you know, if I get that time off and I go do another thing that I really love to do that I don't get to do all year long.
Right.
And then coming back to jiu-jitsu, it's just like, a whole new breath of fresh air.
You're rejuvenated.
we don't have an off
season.
If we're serious about, I mean, and I think all three of us are pretty serious about our craft. I mean, we don't have an off season.
No.
Yeah, no, I actually consider it kind of detrimental to the sport as a whole. The fact that it's you know, it's not like 24/7 newscast.
Because I mean, when I was injured and I had to take off because I couldn't roll.
That's our off season.
That's our off season.
Injuries are our off season.
But then you come back, you're like, fuck, my cardio's not there. You know right away. Like, you're like, fuck.
Well, cardio for sure is the first thing to
Cardio
go.
goes so far.
Yeah.
That blows my mind that people who don't work out daily or don't work out 4 times a week or whatever the case may be, that how they're able to keep going.
How do you do this?
How do you if I don't work out, I just feel so like I gotta do something. Even when I go on vacation, I'll put that in quotes. I'm going snowboarding. I'm working out. When I go snowboarding, I'm not just like, it's like,
not all riding the chair up, right?
No. I mean, we go hard in the paint. You know what I mean? We're not
I thought it was
messing
called
around.
powder.
Yeah, hard in the powder. But so when I see people who don't train or don't work out, I'm just like, how do you like?
It's usually whenever I take
do it.
Whenever I take the very random, rare week off by Friday. That's usually how, like Thursday, Friday. That's how I'm like,
I'm ready to get back to it.
I'm like, how do people, they sit at work,
Yeah.
they sit on the train, they're
Right.
sitting on the couch,
Oh, no.
repeat. I'm like, how do you do
But by the
this?
same token, like my wife has no interest in doing any of the stuff that I do.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no, like my idea of a good time is like a movie or go to watch TV or whatever, Netflix, whatever it may be.
Does she
likes to
does she
read.
yoga? Does she run? Does she?
No, she doesn't have a lot of like athletic
Okay.
endeavors.
Okay.
Nothing real serious like that. Like she likes to, she paints and things. But yeah, so like she's not physically motivated like that. Mind you, I assume she has pretty terrible cardio. She probably wouldn't last 30 seconds in a jiu-jitsu match.
Right. You never tested her yet?
No.
I do not do jujitsu on my wife.
Yeah, no. I'm trying to keep this one. It's a mistake I made with the last one.
But no, I mean, it's everyone's wired differently. But
Yeah.
I personally, you don't have to be crazy like us, But but at the same time, I just think that, you're only given one machine, one body, so use it a little bit, or you're going to lose it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're going to lose it regardless.
Regardless,
doubt.
right? But it's
But the
you-
quality up until then.
exactly, yeah.
I'd like to put some miles on it before.
Right.
before
Well,
I
did you
gotta-
hear that? I forgot what presidential candidate was wanting to get jujitsu at least to a
That's
purple
the,
belt.
Yang.
Yeah, for all police officers to be at least a
Yeah,
purple
I think
belt.
he's California, right? I think he's a senator out of
Now
California.
that's an
But
excellent
he
idea.
dropped out of the race.
Yeah, he did.
He did,
Yeah.
but I thought
Just
that
be
was
clear.
that was pretty an excellent idea.
I like the pitch.
Yeah.
I think purple belt may be a bit much based on the amount of time and dedication that takes.
Yeah.
Okay. The term, like, I don't know. Did you want to talk about this? Like,
Sure.
talk about, okay. So yeah, the amount of time it takes the average person, let's even say the above average person, to get to purple belt is pretty extreme.
Yeah.
And that's significantly longer than any other training they have to do at the academy.
So if you put this into perspective, and that is a long time,
Right.
especially when they're a police officer, they might be swinging shifts. They're not going to be coming to class 4 days a week,
Right.
So it's going to be take them even longer.
So let's pause for a second here, though. So, are we talking about that as part of their time in law enforcement? Do they have to earn up to a purple belt,
Or is it pre? Like a
or is it pre?
pre-requirement?
Because I'm pretty sure he was saying
pre-requirement.
Yeah, and I'm
Wow.
like, man, that's going to massively cut down any potential pool
Yeah, that's for sure.
of candidates.
Yeah, I don't know how they would do that.
Right, because it's just like, and I'm totally down with the message he's trying to send there, but the actual statement of purple belt, I'm like, man, that's a lot
I
of
mean, that's like
training.
saying everyone's got to have a master's degree.
Maybe not
become a
masters, but
police
definitely
officer.
It's like going to be only jiu-jitsu guys being police officers, which may not be a bad thing. But like you said, the pool is cut
but
too
we've
short.
really
Yeah.
shrunk the pool.
Yeah.
Well, how long does it take to get a master's degree? 4 years.
Well, it depends on the degree.
Yeah,
but usually
well,
2
2
full time.
years?
Usually full time 2.
So two for
Well, no, wait, an
associates 2, and then another 2
Associates
for
is 2,
another 2 for bachelor. Then
No, associates is 2. A full-on bachelor's is 4,
and then
a
master's
master's
would
tends
be-
to be 2. I'm
So
sorry.
it'd be
Yes, a
6.
master's on a full-time basis is 2.
So 6 years of school altogether.
If you want a 4-year degree plus a master's,
Yeah.
that's 6 years of full-time school.
Yeah. So then it's associate. So it's like a bachelor's degree.
Right. So you know, I don't want to speak in too broad of generalities here, but like I'd say at most gyms, if you're serious, you're going to get to your blue belt within a year to 2 years. If you're not very serious, it might take you quite a bit longer.
Yeah.
You know, I've known some guys that, you know, they can't come in very often.
Yeah.
Maybe the promotions are a little slow. That's going to be like a 3 or 4 year commitment just to get the blue belt. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay.
Now, if you're crazy serious committed to it, you might get to blue inside of a year. You get into purple inside of another year. Maybe you better be pretty talented, winning some stuff. But most likely, that's going to be another 2-ish, 3-ish years at blue belt, and certainly if you're not coming in very often. So like we're talking somewhere between 5 and 6 years for an average person.
Yeah, but
And I don't think you need that level of technique.
yeah,
either.
I don't think you need to make it so
Right.
much as an entry level requirement as I would say a constant
continuing education requirement.
or just continue or training / continuing education. Like this is going to be, if you want to be a police officer, then you need to log in, we'll say 1 to 2 hours a week of grappling a week.
Yeah, I would be strongly in favor of something
Yeah,
like that. I mean, obviously,
that makes it
firearms.
feasible.
Yeah.
That makes it
Right.
very feasible. I mean, as opposed to saying,
But I mean, man, and we've had plenty of guys on that are police officers that obviously are involved in jujitsu. That's why
a
they're
lot,
here.
yeah.
So they're of course in favor of this kind of stuff. But I mean, I don't think the departments are in any position to really push that kind of program. You know, like that would take almost like a government intervention level thing to turn these guys around and be like,
Right.
okay, this is that important. Like, I can't remember who
I
said
mean, I'm
it.
sure your guests, our mutual friends that all do jiu-jitsu, they could speak to this much better than we can. But of
course.
the Fraternal Order of Police is formidable.
Yeah,
absolutely. So you need somebody above them to kind of lay down the hammer, saying this is what our law enforcement is gonna look like, you know, going forward.
And along those lines, like there's not even enough time for most of the guys to do like firearms training. You know, like a lot of that is done individually.
Seriously.
You know, so like I don't know how you'd enforce something like that at the department level. And again, I totally support what Yang was talking about, if not exactly the level he said it at. I think it's a proper direction to take the conversation.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And he made a ton of great points about it. You know, like the way he feels like above and beyond the technique, the level of like
mental,
situational awareness.
Mental stress.
How to react under stress. I meant to say
used to stress.
Yeah.
So I mean, who was at the? It happened some years ago, but you know, and for every case here, you have another case there. But there was a gentleman and officer in Ohio who like talked the guy down some years ago who had a gun, and it was just. And he just said it was just he reverted back to the stress level that he dealt with when he was in the Army.
Right.
You know, because I think, and now and then you have, on the other hand, you have people who are unfortunately suffering from PTSD. But
different end of the spectrum.
Exactly. But if you're able to come out of a situation that I've never experienced, a horrible situation of war, and you're able to come back and be in a very solid mental place, where you can use those resources, you know, those stress under fire, so to speak, you know, and in the worst circumstances. So now it's kind of like, okay, this guy is not nearly what you dealt with under that extreme situation, you know, not to make it sound like, and in any way, like pulling someone over is an easy thing because you have no idea. I mean,
there's definitely a huge amount of stress.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't want to. Like I said, I've never been in that position, so I don't want to, talk out of my ass here. I mean, you have no idea what's in that car.
I mean, I think it comes down to adjusting. And I know we've talked about this numerous times. Adjusting any type of change like that is going to start at a very younger age. So introducing it to school programs and getting more people involved in not just jiu-jitsu, but just martial arts and health awareness, you know, staying healthy and getting people used to saying, hey, you know, like I look at jiu-jitsu and it sounds, I don't mean it to sound like a part-time job, but to me, I love my job during the day. I love computers. and I love going and doing computers. I love it.
God bless you.
Jiu-jitsu, I feel the same way. But jiu-jitsu, I put so many hours in.
Yeah.
It is like a part-time job, but I love it so much. I
That's
look
more of a
forward to doing
full-time
it.
job, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's what people have to realize, that self-defense and mental health and stress release, and you need that type of outlet, whether it be whatever you're doing. If it's that what's that silly tech game with the feet and the hip that we talked about last time?
Oh, the one that you pulled up. That's the ping pong, kickball hybrid
soccer thing.
Tech ball was it
Tech
called?
ball, yeah.
yeah.
Whether it's tech ball or something that
Get out there, do your tech ball for stress relief.
Exactly. Whatever you need to do. But I think that the younger generations, everyone's attached to their phones and their tablets, and not a lot of people are staying like in that area of like, get outside, do something, do that. I think it's just all going to start at the school systems, and the school systems need to start instilling that. And I know when I was in school, there was we had our, what was it called? Gym class.
Right.
That was all it was.
PE or gym class. Yeah.
PE or gym class. And we did the dumbest shit. Like, it wasn't even like, it was just like.
Are you about to turn this into, why don't we teach them jiu-jitsu in the first grade?
No, not at all.
Okay, just
not
checking.
at all. I'm just
checking.
saying, I think it needs to change at that level before we can start talking about, I think it's going to be a long road. There's no quick fix.
It's changing people's minds is hard. Changing traditions hard. I mean,
Very hard.
Martial arts may be part of the tradition in Asian culture, more part of their culture, so that way it's easier for Japan to implement it in a gym program.
Like,
but
judo is literally in the school system.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not as, wrestling is part of the fabric of this country, and they'll have maybe a wrestling module in a gym class in high school. But
I personally encountered wrestling, real actual wrestling, for the first time in junior high, because it was one of the sports we did in junior high.
I encountered it in they had a module of it in high school, But for the most part, there's no martial arts influence in school. Wrestling is the closest thing to it, and even that's a very small subsect of the guys.
You think it's because, maybe what Keenan's doing now with the American Jiu-Jitsu, maybe he's starting a new trend.
I don't think that's going to help anything at all, honestly. I don't think it's a marketing issue.
You don't think so?
No, I think it's a liability issue.
He's calling
first and foremost. Yeah,
he's calling it American
Jiu-Jitsu.
It's clever. It's
Ameri-
good.
Ameridote.
Well, that's a lot of the things though that Jake Shields and
Keenan definitely didn't coin that concept at all. But yeah, he's definitely riding that banner.
He's fucking running with it.
Yeah.
It's good. I like it. Can you get him also?
Supposedly,
next time he's in town, sure.
Thank you.
Supposedly, his new facility is supposed to be insane.
Yeah,
that he's working on.
It looks quite nice, but it also looks quite incomplete at the moment. So
they're
definitely in there.
Well, it looks like it's a major project, but he looks. From what I heard, he's gonna be able to host small events there.
Yeah, he's got enough. He's got enough mat space to run tournaments.
Yeah, he can
tournaments.
Yes,
I didn't know that. I saw the video of them putting the mats together.
It wouldn't be like.
it's not like 10 mats at the IBJJF tournament.
It's gonna be probably a elite level event. Only 10 of the best of some for whatever rule set they choose.
Like the big mat they have at the IBJJF when they do those big tournaments at Worlds.
No, he's got more mat space than that for sure. Okay. Yeah, that's not that big of a mat space, bro.
But I know it's more than double the size of.
You talking about the black belt finals match?
Yeah, yes.
Mat.
Big
yeah. That's just a little bit bigger than the other mats.
I guess you're right.
Yeah. No. He's got a lot of space. It's interesting because I'm planning on going out to San Diego this year because there's way too many people in San Diego I need to train with, that I either have or and just want to reconnect with them. When or where?
When?
This summer at the latest. Nice. So yeah, we're figuring out the time slot right now. But yeah, and I definitely want to stop by Legion and say hello.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make. I gotta get out there for Worlds in December. So definitely, and when I go on vacation in the summertime, I'll have to hit up. I'm going with my wife to Hawaii, so we're gonna check out Luis Heredia's gym. So for sure.
Lemo? Yeah.
So, but yeah. So who do you guys enjoy watching right now?
Like competitively?
Yeah, competitively.
It varies. depends on like what tournament rule set format we're talking about.
Right.
A lot of really good guys in the lighter weights interest me.
Mikey.
Musumeci, yeah.
Yeah, I just saw that. I mean, it's a little older. I guess I'm late to the party, but I saw that little short documentary that Flo
That they
Grappling
did.
did.
Yeah.
I thought that was very well done.
Man, hold on. That was an excellent documentary. I'm going to distract for just a minute here. Did you watch Daisy Fresh?
I watched the first episode.
Okay, the second episode came out this week, so like
Yeah,
both episodes are
but
out.
I kind of had mixed feelings about it. But
Okay, let's talk about it. Wait, hold on.
know what
Did you?
this is.
Okay, hold on.
you haven't watched this yet, have you?
No.
Okay, I need you
Yeah.
to dedicate like 2 hours. Actually, I think they're just 45 and 45.
They're 45 and 45. About an hour and a half of your time.
So, yeah, less than 2 hours of your time to not watch Ancient Aliens and other bullshit. Okay? I need you to watch this documentary put together by friend of the show, Michael Sears.
Okay.
Okay?
How come you don't have him on yet?
Because he lives in Austin, Texas right now.
okay.
He's local originally.
Yeah, I know.
No, next time he comes and visit, we're going to try and get him on.
Okay.
Okay? But yeah, so anyhow,
Before we real quick, do we have time? This is going to be a fun conversation, but
you want to take a brief pause while
pause.
Yeah, go
Bathroom.
run.
ahead.
it.
All right, real quick.
Same one upstairs.
Sounds good.
Because I think the gym is locked.
Might be.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so they did a documentary. You put it together. Like I said, it's like 45 for the first part, 45 for the second part. It's on Flow, free with your subscription. Okay. And it's a Daisy Fresh.
It's called Daisy Fresh.
Daisy Fresh, an American jiu-jitsu story.
Sweet.
Okay.
What's it about?
It's about Pedigo submission fighting in Mount Vernon, Illinois. It's this real hardcore gym. Bunch of guys. Mount Vernon is way down there. So I see you like doing.
No, I'm trying to think if I saw it or not.
Oh, you might have watched it. You're saying you just don't remember the name.
I might have. Yeah, I just don't remember the name.
Oh, okay. That'd
think
be interesting. Like this just came out. Like the first part was just 2 weeks ago. I mean, after with the time delay on when this episode's dropping, it'll be like a month ago. But yeah.
But does it have to do with? Oh, let me see. American Jiu-Jitsu story. It's not that it has to do with the guy who has a gym that's like all beat to shit.
Yes, that's the gym. You're probably thinking of the Show Your Roll promo video.
Maybe it.
Yeah,
Is that what I'm thinking of?
Like last year.
Last year there was something about this
Show
gym.
Your Roll supports them. And they did a video on YouTube about Daisy Fresh.
Yeah.
But Michael Sears was working filming a documentary last year. Visiting
that was the Show Your Roll.
Yeah, that's the Show Your Roll
So I
video.
seen the Show Your Roll thing. Yeah. Okay. So I know of the gym you're talking about.
Right. Same gym.
Okay.
This time we get like an in-depth documentary. First part is this 45-minute documentary about the build-up to them going to No-Gi Worlds 2019. Okay. So that's just this last year, and then the second part is dedicated almost entirely to the time in Cali. No-Gi Worlds, trials and tribulations, victories and losses, so on and so forth. Okay, I'm not going to give any spoilers of how things go.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Okay.
yeah,
I mean, I could definitely watch that. It's not.
Yeah, really intense documentary. Just awesome the way it was done. I really appreciate it. Now, not to split hairs here, but I come from a pretty hardcore training background.
Yeah, I know. Tony Ciccone.
Cicchini, damn
Cicchini,
it. Damn it. Bruno, edit that out. That's embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing.
Fucking insulta.
It's off the top of my head. It's been a long day.
Kind of
I've
Italian.
been podcasting for hours now.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, I come from a pretty rough edge background.
Yes.
So that for me, there was that lit a fire under my ass when I saw that. I might have gone pretty friggin' hard day after I watched that.
Okay.
But yeah, so I want you to watch it.
Cool.
Give me your get all the way through it. Okay, beginning to end. We'll talk about it on some future podcast.
Yeah.
And depending on your feelings, I would like to have at some point maybe we get Heath and like Andrew Wiltsey or some of the other guys from there. Maybe the next time that they're in town for Chicago Open or
Down
something
for
like
that. Down for that,
So,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. And Chuck Norris, work on that too.
I don't have the best Chuck Norris connections, but I do actually have a couple.
Well,
no joke at all.
Does he ever come to Chicago?
So he used to come to back to Chicago all the time for like some of the major Tang Sudo tournaments and whatnot.
Okay.
Because Tang Sudo is actually pretty big from around here.
We'll invite him to the studio.
Right.
Shoot him an email.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sure that'll get
He's
right
got
through.
email.
I mean, I'm sure he has email. I'm also sure that it's not answered by Chuck Norris most of the time.
How do you know this?
He
might surprise you.
I don't know.
He's the man.
I feel reasonably confident that a man of that degree of popularity and stardom probably has somebody that checks his email for him.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Secretly, Chuck Norris is like a longtime listener of the show. He's going to contact me separately and be like,
me.
Listen, man, I'd love to come on the show.
Tell Javi,
Why you
man.
doubt
I check
me?
my own email, okay?
I'm a grown-ass man.
Grown-ass man.
I can handle my millions and millions of Walker, Texas Ranger fan mails that I get a day.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he did that.
You forgot about Walker, Texas Ranger?
Yeah, I never watched the show.
Oh, wow.
I remember
what do you know of Chuck Norris,
I
actually?
remember Chuck Norris from Bruce Lee.
Just getting beat up by Bruce Lee, that's it?
First of all, yes, exactly. Yeah, and the big debate, you know.
The Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris debate?
Exactly.
How is this even a debate?
I mean,
other than the fact that you're like coming from the Jeet Kune Do scene.
Yeah.
So
I was always like, could Bruce
this
really
non-debate?
Is it real? Could it really happen? They're
Sorry
really gonna
about that.
fight?
Yeah. Okay,
are we still talking about Daisy Fresh?
Well, actually, we got back to the Chuck Norris thing, but we'll get off that subject right now.
Chuck Norris.
So I gave him the setup. I explained basically what the documentary was in part 1 and part 2. Did not give him any spoilers at all. So I'd like to still avoid that for our listeners who either don't have Flow Grappling and therefore haven't seen it. Or for those that just haven't gotten around to it yet. But you said you watched the first part and you had sort of mixed feelings.
I really, don't get me wrong, like I love and appreciate the grind of like, okay, I'm going all in on my dream. You know, I'm gonna live on the mats, I'm gonna live on the cheap. I mean, hell, if I found jiu-jitsu when I was 17, 18, you know, and
be even more of a gym rat than you are now, possibly.
Well, no, but it was one of those things where it'd be like, I mean, I'm a believer in, you know, having me personally, you have a backup plan. You know, you blow your back out, you blow your knee out. I mean, at least maybe you have education to fall back on, right? Or trade school or something of that nature. But if let's say like, you know, if I found jiu-jitsu at a younger age, I mean, I would, after school or wherever the case is, I would be backpacking out to California to live in a hostel and you know, test my hand at my dream as well. And
see if you can make it pro.
Yeah, see if I can make it pro. And if I fall flat, I fall flat. But at least I tried it, right?
Right.
So I definitely tip my cap to anyone who's willing to go like just completely all in, you know, like that. And but at the same time, it's like I feel like I guess it kind of like my criticism, which kind of
go ahead, say it. That's cool.
I feel like there's a smarter way.
There may be.
Because I mean, I feel like they're training hard. They're doing what they got to do, training multiple times a day. They seem like they got a good camaraderie and a good team amongst them. But it's like, you got to train hard, but when no one's got insurance, you got to train smart. I mean, if you don't got insurance, you're an ACL tear away from that dream going nowhere. Because now, I mean, if you don't have insurance, I mean, we're not talking about having a great surgeon and doing rehab, and then you're gonna be back on the months in a year, and then maybe you'll be better than ever.
Right.
And I mean, and then plus two, it's like, you know, we love our sport, right? But let's be honest, it's a dirty sport when it comes to like hygiene. You gotta stay clean, right? So it's like that one thing. I mean, like I said, maybe it's my OCD.
No. Don't mention that part. I need him to get through the documentary. Right. If you say how, he won't watch it.
There's a scene. We'll just say that there's a scene where it's going to make you kind of grossed out when it comes to the hygiene, hygiene and taking care of your equipment and things of that nature.
Yeah. So we're not going to go train at this place, are we? Huh?
I am.
Oh, you are?
100%.
Oh, you are?
Okay, hold on. Let me once again remind you.
Yes.
My old wrestling gym was in a tool and die shop.
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
There were literal metal shavings on the ground.
Yes.
Slightly dirty mats are not going to dissuade me in the slightest.
Okay, I got it.
No, it's not. It's not.
And like I said, I assume they clean those up. I mean, I haven't. They may not have shown it on camera, but I assume after a good hard training session, they're wiping that stuff up. You know, they've got. They also have some seriously not hardcore students working out, and they're doing like the Muay Thai and kickboxing and whatnot as well. So like, it's not like it's just the guys from the video. You know, there's other people in there.
It seems like the way. Okay, so
the focus is on the guys that live in the gym and are training day in and day out, but they definitely have people from the local area that are,
So it's more because it seemed the way they presented it was kind of like a competition team, but it seemed obvious a competition team. But like I didn't realize that they had your.
Yeah, I don't know how they work it, mind you.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the situation is like. But like for example, I've literally seen Andrew Wiltsey, not Bird, post a video of him like training stuff off in a corner while like a bunch of women are like doing what looks like cardio kickboxing on the mats in the background. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, like it definitely comes off as I get that angle that like, but. Yeah, they even show during both parts of the documentary. Occasionally, they'll show like other people that clearly aren't there all the time that they have to be visiting or training there during other hours.
Well,
so yeah, it's not just
check it out.
just the 12 guys.
They look they look good. They look tough and everything. I guess it was just like one of those things where I was like, we were joking about like when. I'm not saying that like I'd be just as concerned if I was going to compete against them. I'm more concerned about getting staff than losing. I'm like, so I want to train the next day.
Right.
I don't know if I want to call out specifics here, but there's some pretty famous gyms that have really major problems with staff on the regular.
Yeah,
so like this happens.
Yeah, it's part.
Yeah.
It's part of the. I've gotten
On
it.
the regular?
On the regular.
I don't know about. I mean, I've gotten it. I don't get it on the regular. I've only had it once, but like, yeah, no, it's part of it's part of the unfortunately part of the casualty of what we do.
Right.
If you do it enough, right, you run the risk, but that's not what I think what the standard should be.
No, and like
Right.
like you said, I would have to talk to like Wiltsey or Heath or Michael or something like that. At no point in time did they like go out of their way to show them cleaning up afterwards. So it absolutely gives the impression it's like, no, we sweat all over each other. There's some blood in the corner, whatever, and then we just go to sleep right on the mats, right on top of it.
Right. Well, that was kind of the way they made it out a little bit.
Right. No, for sure they were joking around about like putting their head down on like a sweaty tie pad and using it as a pillow and whatnot.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta watch it. Is that a Clark Gracie shirt?
This is a Clark Gracie shirt. How did you know?
His logo.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful logo.
It is.
Yeah, it's no longer just a
So
Clark Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
anymore,
Did he change the name?
Yeah, it's a Gracie Allegiance.
Oh, did he?
Why did he change? You know?
To be honest, I actually did not have a chance to talk to him about it when we trained together last.
I saw him a couple months ago when he was in town.
Yeah, he was just in town.
Yeah, we had he was by the Redzovic. We had a meal. I should have asked him. I didn't even realize that he changed the name.
Yeah, well, same logo, different words around it. Just
Yes, because I was like, I know it's his logo. I was seeing Clark Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and maybe it just says Gracie Allegiance.
yeah,
I have no clue.
and changed over his Instagram handle and everything. So
Really?
yep.
Maybe Halston's taking a bigger role. So
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no clue. I'm just
wild speculation, people. I could probably easily hit him up and be like, "Hey, by the way, why'd you change the name?" Or it's probably on the website as an explanation somewhere that I just haven't read.
Did a Gracie just get busted for like? Is this? I thought I read
Not
something.
just, but go ahead, say it.
For like a drug.
Marijuana.
Yes, yeah, but that was
it. Yes,
it's been settled. Well, not settled, but proven that he had a medical card.
I see.
Or had medical reasons to have it on him.
I see.
So it was kind of a rush to judgment.
But yes, but
I was like, what?
But for sure,
I thought it was just bullshit, but it was real.
For sure, Helson got busted for marijuana, and most of the headlines were something
like
clickbaity.
smuggling.
No, like very
it was like
clickbaity,
ridiculous.
I'm like,
like
for sure.
Gracie gets arrested for drug smuggling in Brazil or something.
Yeah.
Drug trafficking in
Drug
Brazil.
trafficking. That was it.
It made him
That
sound
was
like he was trafficking.
Yeah.
When it was probably like a small amount of
Stop
medicinal.
getting your news from BJJ Eastern Europe, damn it.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, these things come up, and you're just like, I glaze over.
Yeah, this is the problem.
The BJ Penn page.
Oh, God, that's another rough one. This is your problem with your method of social media because you get exposed to just enough,
just a nugget,
just the
just
tip,
a little,
as it were.
just a tip. Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't really pay too much. But then when I'm here, you guys can explain to me the real story.
Try to correct your false impression that you've had for like a month and a half now.
For me, the more interesting,
or is the news cycle for you slow enough off social media that you know like that happened forever ago? And you're like just finding out now.
I just remembered.
Yeah. It wasn't that old, but
it is the interesting part. I mean, that there's been just that community, the Gracie community is very divisive when it comes to that topic.
Yeah.
So Helson, I don't know. I don't even know Helson's stance on it either.
Listen, man. I don't want to talk out of turn on this one, but Helson has a bit of a reputation for being more of a wild man than some of the other ones. Like there's a few guys that are that have that reputation. We've all heard it before. Not everyone's quite as straight laced as certain other individuals, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I heard some stories.
We've all heard some stories.
Yeah,
It's true.
it's incredible, man. The things we can't say.
Man, I've heard these stories at seminars in other parts of the country.
Right.
But still,
Yeah, I talk about like secret stuff that happens, behind podcast closed doors.
But nothing's been actually recorded and said out loud by other people that I know of.
Yeah, none of it's going to be said out loud by me either. I don't need the lawsuits.
So do you think I should give Daisy Fresh another shot and check out the second episode?
Well, I think you should definitely finish it. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I think it's a really cool story. Like I was saying, I come from a really hard, and you like, no offense, but like boxing gyms have that kind of reputation in general as well.
It's a machismo. It's that machismo killer be killed attitude a little bit.
Right, and like there. I don't know how to say this without like sounding like I'm like either being overly nostalgic or like talking down. But like when you step into a wrestling room, there's that smell of a wrestling room where you're like, fucking work has been done here.
Yeah.
When you step into a serious boxing gym, usually there's that same damn smell. Okay. And when you step into like your average jiu-jitsu room, like a lot
Bleach.
of times bleach or
Hopefully.
or sometimes air freshener. Like that's pretty common. So like it is just like a sort of a different culture. Like it's not like we didn't clean the wrestling mats or anything.
Of course.
But yeah, like when I went and did Finishers 11, okay, I'm out in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I'd never been to this particular facility before, even though it's right next to Zombie, like literally attached to Zombie BJJ, just on the other side of the building. I have no idea what to expect. It's called Matrix Performance, okay? And I'm looking at their Instagram and I'm like, oh, it's like a CrossFit gym or something, maybe. It looks like they've got like sleds to push and like they've got bars to do kips and all kinds of weights and whatnot. And I get in there and like over here is all that CrossFit-y stuff, and over there is like a wrestling room, and that's the warm-up room. I'm like, oh, cool, we got a warm-up room. This is really nice compared to a lot of other tournaments I go to, where it's like you're lucky if you get like a warm-up mat. We've got a whole room for it, and I open that door and I walk in there. I'm like, work has been done here. Like this smells the way a wrestling room is supposed to smell. Yeah. So, and I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna get staff on these mats. I was just like, no, there's that particular scent in the air.
Yeah, no, I hear you. No, absolutely. There's every boxing gym's got that smell, and I guess I haven't been in as many wrestling rooms as you have, but I can imagine
it's damn similar though.
Yeah, I can imagine it's really similar. So no, I got it, and I guess it was no. I can see what you're saying, because it's like the like they say, like where any school, like if you have a competition team, what you do with the competition team and what you do with everybody else is two different things. Because you're willingly like you're signing up for that extra,
the extra whatever.
Yeah. Putting yourself through whatever needs you need to put yourself through to win whatever champion, whatever your goals are. It's going to take more than just showing up a few times a week and having fun.
Right.
So, I completely get that. I guess maybe it was just kind of like
you got very into the what they were like hyping kind of, right?
Well, I think it was like it was like because they're probably all in their early 20s, right?
I think so. Yeah. I don't think any of them are master's age yet.
Yeah. So I think they're all late.
I mean, Heath is, but I don't think any of the guys living in the gym are that old yet.
They're all like late teens, early 20s. So a lot of it was like, it was a lot of hard ass talk. Yeah. It's like I should have had stitches so many times, but this is technically my first time getting stitched up. It's like all right, bro.
Yeah, he's like 24.
Yeah, it's true. I get it. I get it. They're young, young, dumb, and know what. But it's like okay, bro.
Yeah. I mean, how many times should I have had stitches that we solved that shit with glue?
Oh yeah, that's what this was.
There you go.
That was Goran.
Yeah.
Goran.
Yeah.
Probably butcher his last name. Halleck, I think last name is.
The Ghost.
The Ghost.
Yes.
Goran the Ghost. Yeah. But no, it was, to your point, it was like we were about to roll, shook hands. Something happened where within 2 seconds, something happened where it was just an idiot mistake. And my face bounced off his knee. Well, his knee's going to win that one. So
Yeah,
and I remember he looked at it, he's like, oh man,
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, super. Yeah, like, oh, whatever. It was just stuff happens. He's like, oh man, this is probably going to take a week. You're probably going to need some stitches. And
then you realized.
And then I was like, no. I was like, so I just, went to Walgreens, put on a couple layers of the skin glue, and just put some monkey tape over it and back on the mats in the next day. So yeah.
There you go. See? Yeah.
So I get, yeah.
And maybe you wouldn't have done that at 35. Or was that last week?
That was last year.
Okay,
Sorry, that was over the summer. So,
there we go. There we go.
No,
the truth comes out.
Yeah, so it doesn't. No, I guess we get a little smarter, but for the most part, the craziness doesn't die.
No, it does not.
Which is why we're still doing this.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I think what was we talking about who we enjoyed watching? Gordon's obviously.
God damn it! We almost got through a podcast without mentioning Gordon Ryan, and here he is again.
Well, I was just going to say I love watching him. I have ultimate respect for everything he does on the mats. I'm studying his instructionals.
For sure. If you're doing no-gi right now and you're not
studying Gordon,
you're making a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I
at least do match study.
But I think you fall into one camp. You either like his persona or you don't. And for me, everything outside of what he's doing on the mat is not for me. So and that's just I think that's a
for
personal.
Me, it's a sort of situation.
Yeah, it's kind of like you like Connor, you don't like Connor. It's kind of like you like but that's the thing. It's like everyone can respect what they do in a cage or a mat. It's like, do you like all the extracurriculars? Right. For me, I don't need it.
Yeah,
give me a good matchup.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For me, I watch a lot of Rafa Mendes. I like his style.
You hope to emulate that style one day.
Yeah,
that pure.
I don't think there's anyone.
Sorcery.
Is there anyone more exciting to watch than Gary Tonin?
Oh, no. Canuto's pretty close. Like you get.
Well, yeah. Look at their match.
Well, no, but like you have to get Canuto with the right opponent because like Canuto versus Eddie Cummings was terrible, but Canuto versus Gary Tonin was fucking fire.
Right. Yeah, it was awesome.
So like he's very specific. I can't think of a bad Gary Tonin match.
I can't. I mean, here's the thing. When I can get my wife to take interest in someone's grappling other than me.
Right.
Because she doesn't care about jiu-jitsu. She only cares about it because I care about it.
Right.
So she'll watch my match because but when I can get her like a hand on chin, like looking at the screen, like, wow, like
that's really amazing.
Yeah. And that's what she's like when she watches Gary Tonin. She's like, she'll say, there's a freeness, an innate kind of just free-flowing quality to his jiu-jitsu that can't be taught. And like I said, he may not win like Gordon, but it's way more exciting.
Yeah, which is way better than her looking over at you and being like, why don't you look like that?
Yeah, I think that's what she's thinking.
She's secretly saying.
I mean, I don't think she's physically attractive, but attracted to him. But the jiu-jitsu,
we'll edit that out. It's okay.
I hope she's not. Well, I don't know. Whatever.
She's definitely gonna listen.
Yeah. Well, she'll listen, but whatever. I don't think she's physically attracted to him, but I'm attracted to his jiu-jitsu. That's for damn sure.
Your jiu-jitsu is aroused.
Well, it's like if you're gonna show someone, okay, what is jiu-jitsu, Tony? What are you doing with yourself after work and all weekend long?
You're gonna show him a Gary Tonin match? I'm
gonna show him a Gary Tonin match. And I'm like, maybe this is not how I am, but I
this is what I aspire to.
Yeah, I mean, this is, what I mean? So kind of.
No, I feel like you probably don't want to market like a slow, grindy, 4th degree black belt versus 4th degree black belt match. For Masters Worlds.
Right. I mean, if you're trying to promote jiu-jitsu and get it on ESPN,
right? You want to show some ninja moves.
You want. Yeah. I mean, he's going to be one of the guys you want on that card. You know. So
yeah, he's got a lot of highlight reel finishes.
Human highlight reel. Yeah.
Yes.
Really is.
Really, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I like Rafa Mendes also.
No, Rafa's awesome. I wish he was still competing.
He does gi, and I like the gi.
And not competing actively right now.
Do you favor gi or no gi, or do you have a?
These days, I do favor the gi. I do.
How long? How long have you been training? May I ask?
This will be 6 years.
6 years.
Continuous.
Yeah. Continuous. Yeah.
Yeah. He had some training before that.
I did have some training in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I got that. That's from 93.
Oh, very cool.
93 till late 90s, I guess. yeah. It was,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't actually know that we ever nailed down what the end year was for your jiu-jitsu.
so I guess the end year. So I did it from '93 to for a few years. There was no ever belt. There was no belt promotions back then.
Yeah, where would you find an exclusive?
It wasn't exclusive. It was with Jeet Kune Do.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Back then, it was Progressive Martial Arts Systems. Paul Vunak.
Okay.
I don't know if you know who Paul Vunak is. Paul Vunak's an instructor under Dan Inosanto.
Okay.
So we would train Jeet Kune Do, and we'd do collie stick fight and all that stuff, and then we'd have a jiu-jitsu hour, or and I did that for a few years, and then I didn't really like it, so I'd only come to collie classes and the Muay Thai classes, the Wing Chun classes, and I was like, I'm just going to do this, and then picked it back up, jiu-jitsu back up in the late 90s then, because they were like, well, if you want your back, so there was no belt promotion, it was like, you aspired to become a apprentice instructor and then a full instructor.
Okay.
So I wanted to become an apprentice instructor. I thought that was like, a thing I wanted. And to get that, I had to start doing jiu-jitsu again, which then I did. And then I got my apprentice instructorship. Still no other belt than that white belt.
Right, but you got a certificate somewhere, right?
Yeah, I have the. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Gotta
I don't have it in here though. It's,
Right.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I don't know. There's a lot of things I
Wait,
don't have.
do you know where it is?
I do know where it's at.
So
it's in a frame, actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It
You
is-
should bring it in.
I don't know why I don't.
Yeah, decorate the office a little bit more.
So I got that.
Your personal
I think I
accolades.
got that in 1999.
Should get you a belt display too.
Yeah.
It's funny how, as we go through our journey, we have the ebbs and the flows of what you prefer and what you don't prefer.
Yeah.
For me, I was just all about it all. And then over the last year or so, I've been I still compete in the gi, but my preference is always no gi, to compete in no gi, to train as much no gi as possible.
Yeah, I noted that you were talking about the worlds and you were not talking about gi worlds at all. You were talking about no gi worlds.
No, I was talking about no gi
Yeah.
worlds, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still for instance, I'm going to do IBJJF here in Chicago.
Right.
Just for, I wish they had a no-gi option. I'm kind of bummed out that they're only doing the no-gi in the summer and not spring and summer.
Right.
But just for the sake of competing and getting out there, I'll do it. But
It's gi season in Brazil right now, isn't it?
I get, the whole season thing, it's like...
It might still be nogi or
It's winter
nogi
down there
just
right now, isn't it?
I guess it would nogi right now.
I guess it is. Well, I think it is technically gi season, but... I don't know if you're watching jiu-jitsu, it's always
Right, but as we lead up to the big world championships and whatnot, it's in gi season and it only switches over. I don't know what the actual marker is, honestly.
Yeah,
I don't know. But it seems like more IBJJF driven, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how much
The
of that is.
seasons, the quote seasons.
Yeah,
right?
Minetko says it's nogi season. That's when I know it's nogi season.
Right,
But I never tells you when it ends, though. He's like, there's nogi. No, okay.
Wait, Mineko, how do you know? Help us out here. Like, is it on a calendar somewhere? Or is it just like, no, the jiu-jitsu gods have spoken to me.
Yes.
It's time to take off your gis and plow the fields
that's
for
the thing.
next year.
You'll have some of the full-time the full-time competitors at Redzovic who would be like, oh, it's gi season. I'm like, well, I don't know. The Danaher guys are
It's always no gi season for them.
no-gi season for them. So you know what I mean. So I just saw them compete in a tournament just the other day. So I don't know. I think it's both. You know. So
Right.
I mean, when I got back into jiu-jitsu 6 years ago, I was just doing nogi because I remembered the gi and I
Hated it.
hated it because
how the times.
it
Talk about ebbs and flow.
I felt so claustrophobic in the gi and I couldn't move. These big guys were on top of me. I could never get out from the bottom. It was horrible. So then my friend Gus said, dude, try nogi. I'm like,
What's a
I
no-gi?
didn't know what nogi was.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went to 10th Planet with him and met Javi and a bunch of other guys, Eddie Bravo, also that same night.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good night.
It was a good introduction to jiu-jitsu, right?
You just happened to be in Chicago that day?
Yeah,
Wow.
he was in Chicago. Yeah. So we, and I was like, all right. So then I stuck with it.
Right.
And I would just do, and what my schedule is now, I would do 2 a days, 6, and then stay for this. So I do 3 hours of jiu-jitsu, 4 days a week, sometimes 5.
So you've been almost training almost on a full-time basis.
Almost full time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's that you've been able to make that happen with your work schedule too.
Yeah,
It benefits being the boss.
it
There
does
you go.
benefit me a lot.
There you
Yes.
go. There you go.
Yes, it does. But yeah, and now that Andre, has me teaching and likes my teaching methods and teaching at his school has been phenomenal. I love it so much.
Don't you feel like you're on a better learning path when you're teaching too?
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, the only problem I'm struggling with is like I want to still obviously I stay for the advanced class, but it's like there's so much I want to learn that I feel like
stuff you want to work on. You don't have time for
well,
right now.
not that, but that I want to learn so I could show, and I don't have enough time. So I'm now because Mineka, when we do the advanced class, he's showing advanced movements and stuff like that, and I want to learn that, but no one's teaching me the basic fundamental movements anymore because I would take the beginner's class no matter what belt I was, and so I'm not learning those like. And I have to go.
You're not working on those.
I'm not working on those, so I have to.
God always
can never be too perfect.
Yeah, gotta always keep your foundation
strong. It can never be good enough.
Ever. I'm not getting those reps in. So when I showed my technique to my teammates,
right.
I try to do a couple extra reps, and I'll go in. Let me show you. So I can just try to get my reps
those extra reps in.
Yeah, just so I know that my game is strong and that my technique is on point.
But you're so true. Like. Whenever when I'm teaching, like, and all of a sudden, like, if I have like my mind just blanks or something, or like I'm having trouble, like I physically can get on the ground and do it and show it them, but I can't explain it in word. I can't articulate, which means that there's a gap.
Yeah.
If I can't articulate it, then there's a gap in my knowledge base that. It's kind of like the person that like, oh, I can't teach you math, but just give me the problem and I'll figure it out.
Yeah, right.
So it's like that. I saw that there was like that pyramid. They say like the highest level of learning is when you can teach it to someone.
Right.
So like that means like now you've really taken ownership.
Truly understand it.
Yeah. So that's like why like, for instance, whether it's teaching basics or, even if I have a chance to like relay something that, from a Danaher instructional, if I'm like, okay, if I can teach this and I'm not missing any detail, okay, I'm taking like, mental ownership of it. And now it's like, hopefully I'll be able to use it on command, hopefully. You know what I mean?
Well, one of the things that I don't teach and some things that I want to teach, and I don't really think about it too much because, for me, when people ask me, well, how do I escape that position? Or how do I escape? That's something that's not, I don't teach it often. I don't think I've ever even taught defenses for
really?
like,
oh, okay.
It's just something that because since I've been doing jiu-jitsu, it's always been, to teach an arm bar, teach a triangle. But Neko has, done classes where he would show arm bar defense, but it's not like a core. I don't know why. Do you guys find that odd? Or do you do that?
I have very deliberate thinking about this.
Yeah.
Okay. So fundamentally, people are coming to me for offense.
Yes.
Okay? They want to learn how to armbar people and put people to sleep and put them in mount and other bad positions. Mm-hmm. And as a consequence of teaching correct, razor surgically precise offense, we will automatically teach them defense. Okay, because if you know that I have to straighten the arm to arm lock it, you know that you got to keep it bent. And if you know that before that you're gonna throw your leg over my head, you know that you can't let that leg come over. But if I just teach defense, that doesn't necessarily inform offense. It goes one way, not quite the other.
So when you teach an arm bar, let's just say, you're also going to show the defense on that same.
No. But what I'm saying is inherently, when I'm teaching offense, you're already learning defense because you're like he needs to do A, B, C to complete the move, and if I can shut down A, B, or C,
yes, I see what you're saying.
So
of course,
we're always
makes,
teaching.
Yes.
So long as the students understand that,
yes,
and I make sure to explain that to them.
Right.
Yes.
Then we're always teaching an element of defense.
When, like I give them like once it's here. It's over. Yeah, you're game over.
Right, unless you got some real late stage defenses.
Let's just say an arm bar. If your hand is still on your chest here, and his arm is below his thigh, his top of his thigh, you still have escape. Once this arm gets here, and now it's away from your body, that percentage
now we're in some serious danger.
Getting into danger.
Right.
Exactly.
You're indirectly.
It's
indirectly teaching it.
Right, and then I teach specifics.
That's what I'm talking about. Specifics.
Right. So,
and see that
that's where I'm lacking, and that's why I need to really start because I can defend myself. I say I don't say it, but I'm very hard to submit. No pun intended on the company, but because just by doing jujitsu and being the smaller guy,
Right.
I've always had to be really good at defending
Right,
because I'm always
similar.
getting.
So is it
Right.
is it that you know what to do and you just can't articulate it? Is
Right.
that okay? So
That's it.
But you do know.
I do know.
You know,
Right.
so it's
You know
like-
I
that
know
you
what I'm
haven't
doing,
systematized it.
but I
Right.
haven't exactly, Javi. Right.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm lacking in
think-
my instructionals.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I mean, maybe that's for me. I've had a different. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's just like you said. If you can break it down, like as you're going through it and as you're drilling it, if you can break it down slow in your head, so that way you're like, okay, first I'm doing this, so then I can teach them. Well, that's now you can break it down. It's like, okay, I need to stop this person from triangling me. They just threw their legs up. I'm immediately what's
Posture.
the first posture. So I'm gonna posture. So it's like I think if you just maybe take it a step back to baby steps of like, okay, what exactly are just the key points I'm trying to convey here.
Right.
It's funny that you say that. Some of the younger people or not younger people, but the newer students are coming towards you asking about, how can I do this choke? It's funny because a lot of the newer people will often come up to me and they'll say, how can I avoid getting my guard passed? How can I avoid getting out of side? So getting out of side control is the big one. So
that's
how
a big
can
one, yeah.
I'm trying to start.
Don't get your guard passed, damn it.
Or another one is
Why were you taken down in the first place? Let's start there.
another one is I'm trying to start playing such and such guard. Where do I begin? Where do I even begin playing this guard? You know?
So and as soon as somebody comes to me with something like that, I'm like, let me show you some sweeps and some submissions from that guard. Okay, because in the process of showing that, I will also teach them how they have to maneuver their legs, where the pressure is. I'm going to teach them just when you correctly break down. Like, not that I'm saying like I only do this, but like when you as a student are correctly breaking down the technique in your head of I have to go through this procedure to accomplish this goal, then you automatically are knowing when I want to shut down this procedure, I have to make sure he doesn't do the things.
Right.
So sometimes that's as simple as, oh, well, he needs to put his foot there, so I'm going to grab it and hold it. And sometimes it's something way more complicated than that.
Yeah.
So there's this element of defense that is inherently taught as the corollary to offense, and then there's specific technique. Okay. And the problem is a lot of guys have specific technique for defense. They don't actually take the time to teach it because that would kind of you have to admit to being in bad position. Okay. Like everyone at this table, 100% guarantee you know what I mean when I say the hitchhiker escape.
Yes.
Okay. Here's a question. Did you have a class where the instructor goes, we're going to do arm bars today? Deep fucking arm bars behind you. And you were either going to use the hitchhiker escape, which I will show you now, or you'll use the opposite, which I usually call the Kimura escape, which I'll show you now, or you're going to get tapped out. And that's the entire round. That's an hour of class right there.
Right.
Okay. The answer to that for most people is no.
Never that deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do shit like that all the time with my guys because
In no-gi.
not just in no-gi.
Oh, you
no.
do it in gi as well?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Okay.
In fact, embarrassingly, because I didn't realize it at the time, I'm teaching over at LCCT the other day, and I have a room full of like, honestly, mostly white belts, a couple of blues, and like 2 purples. Okay, and I go, yeah, we do this, and it shuts down the hitchhiker escape. So, you know, like this is a really great option. You know, that's why we prefer this arm bar to that arm bar. And one of my guys like literally raises his hand and he's like, "What's a hitchhiker escape?" I'm like, "Oh my! How many of you guys don't know a hitchhiker escape?" And a bunch of hands go, "Okay, we're doing this now."
Right. Yeah.
So like I'm used to like I teach all kinds of deep escapes and stuff like that
That's good,
on the
yeah.
regular. But a big part of that is also the way I teach offense. So like I'll show guys. Funny story. I don't know if I want to get into it, but I'll show guys like how to get out of like clock chokes and bow and arrow chokes and things like that. Once they're sunk in pretty damn deep, based on like the way most guys screw them up, and I'll tell them straight up. I'm like, listen, this is the escape I'm going to use right before I have to tap. Like this is that deep. Prevention was way better.
Right.
Escape at an earlier path was better, but we're going to go all the way dialed all the way to the end and see if we can get out at the very end because the other option is, well, tap out or pass out.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, we definitely do that type of training now. Probably for the sake of injury, probably could do that more with like the competition guys. But for the sake of injury, like usually, I think we haven't started from an extended armbar. But I think that if you have the right people in the room,
right.
You have the right
understanding
people
is tap them, don't crank them,
don't break their arm,
right?
Yeah, which some people unfortunately still need to learn.
No, I
you know, so.
But like I teach heel hook escapes to white belts. You know, like I don't got guys breaking their legs all the time.
Right.
You know, why do I teach this? Because it's necessary for what they're doing, which sounds crazy to some people, but it's normal.
Right.
That's interesting because, like I said, it's all a matter of approaches and what works best for different people. Like when someone will ask me, like, I'm having a really hard time, or people are smashing through my half guard, or I'm trying to figure out this butterfly guard thing. Like, I'm just getting past or whatever. And so I'll usually I'm like, well, let me see your approach. Let me see your guard. You know what I mean?
And you walk up to them and it's like, oh, that's a dead guard.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, okay.
You're just trying to hold a position.
Yeah, it's like you're. It's like literally your legs. Sometimes they're not even in the proper position, but usually, like you said, they're just like I could just kind of push that there and push that there, and now I'm past your guard. So a lot of it ends up being, well, let's talk about the principle of the guard, your body positioning, your configuration, and how you're just gonna, for the most part, just kind of keep the person, for us at bay for a second. And now you're going to, and now we're going to, okay, now you have a concept of like, okay, here's a knee shield. You don't want that bottom leg to get smashed. You want to ideally have an offensive guard and be on your hand and be attacking and not just kind of always just laying on your shoulder. Okay, now let's talk about some sweeps and subs. But like I said, I could see how maybe the inverse, works well too. Just show them the attack right away and the retention later.
I believe it's University of Jiu-Jitsu, Salo's book.
Yes, that is.
Yeah.
Jiu-Jitsu University.
Jiu-Jitsu University. In there, he talks about how like white belt is like the survival phase of Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
And I get that, but I disagree with it. So you are going to survive,
Right.
okay? But I don't want to approach it with just the concept of all I'm here to do is get you through it, because people want to have fun and attack too. So I take.
But the problem with that is, and from my experience, is that the people that I've been dealing with, the new students that come in, they don't have that instinct yet to attack. They know
That's
they
my job
want
to teach it to them.
Yeah, that's the thing. I try to explain. Some people are just timid and they're just kind of like waiting for the reaction.
Yep.
They're waiting for you to pull them, and then they're like, oh, okay, and they get nervous, and then they start, getting that monster, that death grip on you, and they don't really know what's going on yet.
And they have no, for timing is the hardest thing. You can't teach timing.
Can't teach timing.
Hardest thing to develop.
Yes,
from me, I'm
very
sure
difficult.
we're still all at this table crafting our timing.
So I can understand like where he was coming from, because they're basically always going to be on the defense.
Right. But if I teach them nothing but to survive, they don't have any other tools to actually win.
I don't know. How have you seen your students, progressing? Do you feel
fantastically?
Do you feel do you feel that they're more aggressive? Like at what mark?
There's a difference between aggressive. Like it's not just aggression. Okay, because there's defensive offense as well. I mean, it's just like I'm not going to be like, okay, here's how you hold guard for 15 minutes. I'm going to be like, this is close guard. Here's the principles of what we're doing here. How we maneuver our opponent's weight from side to side, forward and back. How we control his hands so that he can't punch us or posture or get his grips. But I'm very much like, I don't want to grip here. I'm breaking this grip. This is my arm now. I'm going to drag it, lock it. All this stuff. That's the approach. Like that's not defensive work. No. That is, oh, you did something I don't like. I'm going to aggressively stop it with my own counter, and now I'm on the attack. Yeah. Okay. If you want to, if you want to be like, how do I sit in closed guard for 15 minutes waiting for my opponent to make a mistake? Bottom closed guard, I meant to say. Like that. That's not what I'm going to teach you.
No, I don't think that's what I was talking about.
Right, and I don't think that's a fun way to learn anyway.
Right.
So because no one really wants to just hold you in their guard.
But that's what I'm saying. It's the sweeps
Right.
and the arm bars and the chokes and the other offensive actions that everyone's after.
But
That's what they want to
yeah,
do.
100%.
Right, but I think that
And by teaching the correct way of doing that and the correct timing for it and everything,
Agree.
they're learning everything else.
Agreed.
Now,
But that time period from like say day 1 to 3 months in, the people that they're rolling with are going to be rolling at a little higher level or higher pace, and that person's always going to be on the defense because they haven't, their brain hasn't even connected all the dots yet.
Right. It's kind of like, I guess, okay, so I guess the analogy that I would use is like, I mean, so when you're starting to strike, you first need to learn where your feet should be placed, where your hands should be placed, how to move so that way you don't just get like you don't fall on the ground just from like a pushing punch, not a real punch.
right, but your stance is about being able to launch offense and defense.
Correct. And eventually, like really quickly, you know, you're walking the floor, and then before you know it, you're adding in a jab while walking the floor. So I see your point, but so my just analogy that I'm getting at is that when you say, okay, I'm going to show you this sweep, but then what happens is like as many times you try to do the sweep, the first person you try to do the sweep on, it doesn't work, it gets smashed, and people will get, not to say like they need to learn that, okay, you need to do this a bunch of times and on different people and test it out. You can't get discouraged because it doesn't work the first time. But it's like they almost have to, it's like you have to have your post or your guard, like your boxing,
guard,
right?
yeah.
Guard, you know, you have to have that quality guard position that you're like, okay, when things are going awry and they're not going the way I want, I can retreat, retain my guard, and I'll go right back on that attack.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so that way it's like, because you know we've all like.
Yeah, it's not like I'm not saying I don't teach guard recovery
Well,
or
of course
something
not.
like that.
Yeah,
obviously.
and not
Yeah.
and not insinuating you don't. I'm just
Right. But again, like the mentality I take them to is, okay, we got back to guard. I want you
Get
right
back
on the attack.
No, and I love that. I love that
Yeah.
idea of having. I love that idea. I agree with you. I love the idea of having an attacking guard.
Right.
You know,
yeah, 'cause it's so
a guard to be feared.
I don't even
you
want to
know.
beat up on guard because like when guys develop like powerful side control, it's really easy to just be like, I'm gonna chill here, I'm gonna take my time, I'm gonna relax, you know. And it's like, how about we use our pressure to open him up? We shut down all of his potential escapes. We look to set up combinations. You know, that's my methodology for teaching that stuff.
Yeah. No. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I'm all about, you know, either you got to be dangerous off your back or be able to get up.
Right.
You know,
I mean, be dangerous everywhere. That's the plan.
Be dangerous.
yeah. No. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. I'll show you my bottom side control techniques later.
Oh man. Hey, how's that? You said last time we talked, you were working on a destructive, like the most devastating leg lock.
Yeah.
How's it coming?
It's terrifying.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not,
Is it ready for
You're trying to develop
broadcast?
your own.
it's not ready for podcast technique, but it's definitely.
You trying to develop your own leg lock?
Well, I mean, I haven't seen this one taught anywhere else, and it's actually not that complicated. So yeah, at some point I'm going to break Zito's leg with it, and we're going to
Sweet.
find out. You know,
That's kind of-
whether it's as good as I think it is.
On air.
Be careful. Do your due diligence. The only reason why I say that is because our buddy that sweet guy that we talked about earlier, Henner, when he came in, he did a great guillotine seminar some years ago, and he says he's like, I haven't seen this shown anywhere, and it was how Hoffa finished someone in ADCC.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so we'll just, I mean, maybe Henner didn't see that ADCC.
Yeah,
so.
maybe.
No, I mean,
It's possible.
Listen, you want to talk about parallel development, okay? So I was working on, and I totally stole this idea from Gary Tonin, okay? I played the crucifix a lot. Gary tapped out Kit Dale.
Oh, yeah,
This is years ago with like a guillotine transition.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I started fucking around with it because I'm like, that's a really clever transition. I've never
Yeah,
tried that before. You know, I don't like giving up the crucifix for it, but you know, and I came across an alternative choking option with a similar setup. And I'm like, this is fucking money. I love this. And I started using it on everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Independent of each other and myself, Vlad Kulikov hits me up and he's like, hey, have you ever seen this before? And he shows me the exact same technique. And I'm like, yeah, I've actually been working on this. This is amazing. You know, he's like, where'd you learn from? I just kind of figured it out, you know. And then you were there. Ben Askren came in.
Yeah.
And he showed us, I think he was like, I think it's in my notes. I'm like, I have no better name for it. I called it the Askren choke.
Yeah.
But Ben Askren showed the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So like me on my own, Ben Askren and Vlad all basically have the same moment, probably within like 3 months of each other, mind you.
That's funny.
Okay. Where we're all like, nobody's ever showed me this choke before, but I think I can do this. This seems super effective. And we were all doing basically the same thing, slightly different positions.
Right.
None of us had showed it to each other. Yeah. So parallel development, totally a thing that happens.
Yeah.
No, completely.
Can I see this choke? What does it look like?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Like out on the mats or right now on air?
Not right now. But yeah, I want to see it. Yeah, I want to see it.
Sure.
The that's the principle that like what you're talking about. That's a big because I was wrapped up watching that the Danaher guard retention, and that's something he's really big on, which I like too. Which is immediate as soon as you recover your guard, get right back on
Right back on the attack. Yeah.
on the offensive cycle, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's important to. I mean, not exclusively, but most of my if I go back and watch tape of myself,
Right.
Even though I am personally like quite the counter wrestler, like I prefer to, most of my coaches always, regardless of how they talk about it, they're like, you want to be like Riley Bodycomb actually says it this way: you want to be first and third. Okay, like you throw out that first strike, you land on him, he's going to do something. You throw out the third strike. That's the tempo you want to play on. Okay, and if you're not first and third, you basically want to be second and last.
Yeah.
Okay, because whatever you do on the second needs to just completely disrupt the tempo and flow of the fight.
Right.
Otherwise, you're still on that guy's tempo. So, like, I'm always trying to steal the tempo of the match. And usually when whether it's just whether it's just a bad performance or an actual loss, when I look back and I'm like, man, I wasn't offensive enough. I didn't take the tempo. I was being too reactive. I was playing the wrong rhythm.
Well, and then everything you're speaking to is, I mean, that just like it's like a overarching fight principle, right? It's like we're gonna take this match into my tempo. We're going to take this and because usually it's whoever's controlling the match, the fight, the whatever you want to call it, the rhythm, that's usually the one dictating the pace. So it's like, so if you're like you said, if you're constantly defending, eventually you're going to get passed. Eventually you're going to get punched. Eventually, for me, same thing. If you're always defending without any sort of counter offense,
right.
bad things are eventually going to happen.
Yeah, I'm always trying to unbalance the guy, make him post, open up an elbow, whatever it may be, to try and launch that offense. And by giving, again, to my perspective, by giving a large quantity or either a large quantity or good quality, and it's got to be one or the other, hopefully both, of offensive tools, they're gonna make their combinations and set things up and figure things out. It flows together into a greater offensive whole. And now it's not just about like, oh, I'm gonna stay here in close guard and hope my opponent makes a mistake, or I'm gonna survive in bottom side control until I can escape. And it's like, no. Let's get right on it.
Well, I think that too. I think that's also. I mean, and sometimes it doesn't end as a white belt or a blue belt, but I think you get to a position and that grab and hold is because you're nervous about making a mistake,
right?
And I think that's a normal. No one wants to be an idiot. No one wants to look foolish. So you kind of that's like a human universal thing. So it's kind of like, okay, I got to this position that's not the greatest position, but it's not horrible, and I can't get completely smashed. So I'm going to hold on for dear life here and hang out. But it's like. And you walk out feeling somewhat decent about yourself, but you don't. Eventually, you're like, that's not good enough anymore. That doesn't suffice.
Listen, man, if the only thing that saved me from death and domination is the timer going off at the end of the round, I fucked up.
Right. But that's how we think. That's how we think now. Right. I don't know. We thought that way as white belts.
But I want to instill that right away.
Yeah, right. No, and that's a good. I mean, and that's a good mental. Thought process to instill in your students right away. Yeah, absolutely. That it's not about time, and as Hodger said, if you won by advantage, it's not really that much of a win,
Hey,
So
I got those wins. They're not my proudest, but I got them.
Yeah, no. Right. And then that's like I said, that's just a way of. I mean, like you said, that's kind of what we touched on earlier. It's like, sometimes you just need the win, and then sometimes you're like, man, I wish I went about that different way. And, even if I lost,
Listen,
I was,
my seriously strategic wins are not necessarily the ones that make my highlight reel. Let's be real frank here.
Right.
no, but
Anyhow.
We're over 3 hours in.
Yeah.
Holy
This is-
cow, wow.
That was
I know,
an
dude.
easy conversation.
it
man.
really was. No,
All right,
that's crazy.
Let's get some stuff
My
done
stomach
here.
is growling right
Yeah.
now.
No, it's funny because I didn't turn off my alarm because I didn't figure, no offense, I didn't figure we were going that long. It's been a while since we did a long one.
I didn't. I
don't know if it's-
time just
No, it was just
completely
so,
flew.
it was so
Yeah,
nice.
no,
yeah.
no, you're an
When we
easy-
started talking about
easy dude to
jujitsu,
talk
we're
to.
like, that's it. We're in. It's like attention. All right. Tony, man, it's been awesome, dude.
I just want to say it's been a pleasure and an honor to come on your guys' show. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure's all ours. Man.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
I'm very easy to find. I'm usually, I'm on the mats at least, never less than 5 to 6 days a week at Team Redzovic.
Which location?
I primarily train at the Lincoln Square location. So that's where I usually do my primary training and coaching. But then I'll also be usually with training with Alex, depending on my training and work schedule, anywhere from 1 to twice a week. And then I also try to get up to the Team Redzovic Loop location as much, whenever I can, just mix up training partners, mix up
Get those looks.
Yeah, different styles of teaching and things of that nature. So, and like you said, different training partners. So, but like I said, it's always great to talk with fellow jiu-jitsu junkies and expand the network because that's as I was talking with someone the other day, you can jump rope, you can shadow box, you can hit the heavy bag and get pretty decent, but you cannot. Unfortunately, you cannot get good at grappling without another person.
No.
You need at least one other body to get good. So we need each other.
If everyone figures that out, you got $1 million marketing plan right there.
Yeah. So
Eddie Cummings might. But, all right.
Social media, you got Instagram,
yeah,
Facebook?
I do.
Oh, he's got to look it up. It's okay.
I do. I'm Anthony Kalina, Kalina on Facebook. I am on both Instagram and Twitter, but I try to limit my social media time as much as possible. I don't know, just.
Well, we promote heavily through Instagram, so if you got that, we'll put it up.
No, I got. I'm on Instagram. I am the one Tony Joseph, and then on Twitter I am. Sorry,
That where you get all your political hot takes on Twitter.
A little bit more than most, but it's just exhausting, right?
Indeed it is.
At TJ Kalina on Twitter. Okay. So no, right.
No TikTok.
That's
I know, right?
Exactly.
No Snapchat, no TikTok. No, I'm sure that's.
I don't even know what that is yet.
Yeah, I
haven't really figured it out yet. I know it's something with video, but
I'll show you sometime.
Thanks.
But yeah, no. Like I said, it's been a pleasure, and now we have to. Anthony, we have to train definitely sometime together.
Tony and Tony.
Yeah, exactly. And Javier, I've had a pleasure of training with you. We have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
So
I'll be down at some point.
This is great, and I hope to do it again with you sometime.
Sweet. All right. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. For more information about Grappler Union Podcast, you could visit us at our website at grapplerunion.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Grappler Union. Please like us on Facebook. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. And all of our episodes are available on our YouTube channel. Say what?
Be sure to subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to all that shit. You got to do another take, right?
Oh.